All right, 2025 is almost over. What were your favorite fragrances in 2025? I'm doing things a little different with the 2025 launches video this year, but I already did one for men's designer releases. If you haven't caught that video, please go catch it. But today in this video, I'm talking about 100 different launches from 2025 in the niche world, luxury niche world, and also the luxury designer side, which includes some of the like private blend collection type fragrances, exclusive collection fragrances. This is done in alphabetical order and in a deep dive format. It's 100 fragrances, so a long format video. Sit back and relax as I go through 100 different fragrances for you today in this video of 2025 launches. A few things to know. There's going to be another video like this soon, which are more smaller, lesser known niche houses, indie artisanal houses. So stay tuned for that very soon. It might be a few days after the new year rings in. And also, what else was I going to say? I forgot. But there'll be one more video like this, and perhaps I will do a follow-up video ranking maybe 25 to 50 of the fragrances from both of the videos. So these are really long format deep dive videos. I'm going to explain to you some of the fragrances that were launched in 2025. And let's get started right now. But before I start smelling the fragrances, let me know your favorite fragrances of 2025. You can mention the men's designer releases also, but you can also go catch that video and mention your favorite men's designer fragrances in that video. But let's get started with the first fragrance. It's Acqua di Parma's Buongiorno. Let me know if you got your nose on this one. This actually launched together with the next one, and I actually like both of them. I didn't buy this one until most recently, but the one I bought earlier on was the Colonia Il Profumo. The Buongiorno is a freshie. It's a kind of playing off of the original Colonia, which was almost, it's over 100 years old. And it's taking it into something that reminds you of perhaps Torino 21 from Xerjoff, which has been very popular fragrance for the house. There are differences, but I think it's a minty, aromatic, fresh, citrusy fragrance. And it smells super fantastic, and I really love it. So I'm glad to have it finally. And I can't tell which one I like more, Xerjoff's Torino 21 or this. I think this one's a slight bit sweeter citruses, whereas the Xerjoff, I haven't compared them side by side. They do remind me of one another. But I think Xerjoff's is a bit more stringent in comparison to this. But I wouldn't say Xerjoff's is super stringent. I just feel like the Buongiorno from Acqua di Parma is a bit sweeter, a sweeter citrus take in comparison to the Torino 21. But both of them have that kind of an aromatic freshness, the herbal touch that the Torino 21 has, which is nice contrast against the citruses. So that is Buongiorno. This table is so full, I gotta be careful I don't knock anything over. So if you hear anything fall, let's hope it doesn't break. All right, next is the second Acqua di Parma. It's Colonia Il Profumo. Now remember, I mentioned in this video, we've got a lot of niche houses, more of the luxury niche houses, luxury houses, and of course, we've got designers' upper-end luxury collections like the private blends and things like that, the privé collections. So Il Profumo, Colonia Il Profumo, to me, is basically taking the original Colonia and intensifying it and making it a lot more presence with the longevity, which is really great. It does have those classic touches that reminds you of the original Colonia, which I think the original Colonia was an eau de cologne. It did have a bit of a more masculine lean to it. I feel like it was sort of a barbershop-y citrus fragrance, citrus aromatic. But here you get that experience, but you can actually smell the pulpiness of the citruses, which is kind of fun. You can experience its thickness. It's not as transparent and thin like the original Colonia. This is a lot thicker, longer lasting, but a really great, fresh, invigorating citrus fragrance. Perfect for hot days or anytime you want that invigorating quality of citruses. It's a really awesome scent. I really love it. I've worn quite a bit of it. In fact, I've actually reported on some promotions on that one as well. And if I see any promotions further for that one, or either both of them, the Buongiorno or the Colonia Il Profumo, I will let you guys know, because I'm all about deals, and I love finding deals, and I love sharing those deals with you guys as well. So next, let's move on to the house of Edes de Venustas. This is SUEÑO Latino. I actually really enjoyed their previous release, Café Tabac. This one is still kind of growing on me. And I'm fairly new to the house, although I knew the house from a long time ago. Barney's used to carry the brand, and their bottles were different. So I think they did a rebranding and repackaging of the line. There were several fragrances created by Bertrand Duchaufour. So, in fact, Café Tabac is a Bertrand Duchaufour creation. This one, on the other hand, I think, from what I remember, is the same perfumer that does a lot of KLE fragrances, Gabriella Cellaru. I think that's who she is. She's over at Firmenich. I could be wrong, but I think I'm 99% sure that's who it is. This is, to me, it reminds me of a Bertrand Duchaufour fragrance. It's kind of smoky, slightly smoky, fruity, and woody. And so maybe there's some like slight incensey touches. And it's kind of reminding me of Bertrand's L'Artisan creations. Most importantly, something like Zonga or maybe Timbuktu. I think further distance from the Timbuktu. And it's been a while since I've smelled Zonga. But this does remind me a little bit of something that Bertrand Duchaufour would create, which is kind of funny because Bertrand has several creations for the brand of Edes de Venustas. Let me know if you're familiar with SUEñO Latino. I remember a track from, was it the 90s? Like a chill-out electronic down-tempo track that was called SUEñO Latino that I really, really love. So I was kind of seeing if that inspiration kind of came from that track, but I don't get the connection. But that might mean something completely different as far as the fragrance goes. But let's move on to the house of Aesop. First of which is Above Us STEORRA. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. Who's a fan of Aesop? Aesop has some great skincare and body care, products. Here we've got something smoky, woody, but also aromatic, fresh. There's also resinous touches in this one. I think these two fragrances from Aesop that I'm going to talk to you about are created by Celine Burrell, who's a perfumer over at IFF. She originally did one for the brand called Tacit, and I believe their in-house perfumer for Aesop, Barnaby Fillion, left. So I think Celine's come back and done two fragrances. This one's got a smokiness for sure. It's not as citrusy and fresh. It's dark and woody and incensey and smoky. But it definitely has the DNA of Aesop's fragrances. Who's a fan of this line? I actually shot a deep dive of this line. I haven't aired it yet. It's been a good month plus. So we're gonna get that aired very soon. Every single fragrance from the house, except for anything that I never got my hands on because it was discontinued. But stay tuned for that. But that is Above Us STEORRA from the house of Aesop, which is now part of L'Oreal. Everything seems to be under L'Oreal these days, especially that, Kering gave away or sold away their beauty business to L'Oreal. Oh my God, there's so many brands under L'Oreal now. But this next one is called AURNER from Aesop. AURNER is, I believe, the latest release from the house. It's either Above Us STEORRA or AURNER. I believe it's AURNER though. Why is this acting a bit like Chypre? This is woody, fresh. I don't know why, but I got some rose right off the bat, but that seems to have gone away. And the rose patchouli thing happened for me. And so, but both, it's kind of like faded away, but it blended together. It has a very sexy touch about it, but also something a bit classic, like a rose patchouli combo thing. Am I smelling this correct? That's AURNER. Who's a fan of the line? Let me know, add a comment below. There are several that I really enjoy from the house. I believe also, I mentioned in the deep dive video that the brand has 100 ml bottles of their most popular fragrances now, which I believe is Tacit, the Marrakesh one, and Huile, which is, I believe, their most popular, which is that kind of cypress, hinoki wood, kind of incensey, smoky, shaved woods kind of smell. That seems to be the more popular for the brand. But I think Tacit is also pretty popular for Aesop. But we're talking about 2025 releases. And so let's move on to the house of Acro next. This is Breathe. Breathe has been featured in our Scent Club mystery box. Not this last one, but the previous one. And I actually really enjoyed this one. It's clean. It's watery, aquatic, musky. It smells like... Well, first of all, it gives me a little bit of a vibe of Comme des Garçons. What is it called? Odor 1, I believe. I think it's not this one, but the very first one in this series. Kind of gives me that kind of an idea, but not so out there like Odor 1 is. But this is very clean. It has a very electric smell to it, but clean laundry, very musky. And I think it's this musk that's in here that gives me that kind of an electric smell to it. But aromatic, fresh, watery. Could be aquatic, watery, maybe ozonic, and musky. Musky for sure. So that's Breathe. This is a fragrance that's super light. So if you're not into light fragrances, if you are not very sensitive with smell, this might smell hardly like anything. So be warned. But I really, really love that. It smells really simplistic, but enjoyable to wear. The next one from Acro is Crush. Crush is... I think Crush is a gourmand that reminds me of like a rose-flavored macaroon, which is a very popular delicacy in France. And they basically captured it here. I think Pierre Hermé is the macaroon shop. If you are visiting France, if you ever seek them out, they have these macaroons that are like rose flavored. And of course, they're sweet and fluffy, and they've got that rose flavoring. So this is definitely a gourmand with rose, but nothing like Intense Cafe by Montal. This literally does smell like a delicacy. It actually smells like the rose macaroons that I've eaten when I travel there. I've kind of gotten bored of those. They were popular probably more like 5-10 years ago. But if you are into that delicacy, you want it in a perfume form, you can definitely find it in Crush. Crush is also an extrait de parfum, by the way, in comparison to Breathe being an eau de parfum. For me, Crush was also, I think, seems a bit more substantial now compared to when I first reviewed it. I think it was a bit lighter then. It's kind of gotten a bit more aged and, maturated and macerated in the bottle. I'm enjoying it a lot more now, and it's reminding me more of that kind of a macaroon-like consistency with the rose. So that is Acro Crush. We've got Amouage next, and this is Decision, the first one. I'm surprised how great this has become. It wasn't a wow when I first reviewed it. It's grown on me quite a bit. What I like about it, it's almost like snow-covered pine trees. There's a piney smokiness there. But rather than snow, there's a frosted kind of, side to it. But just imagine like marshmallows, melted cream, or whipped cream. If there's such a thing as putting it on Christmas trees, because there's this kind of a creamy, smooth softness about it. But under it, there's like the smell of the Christmas tree, the pine, and all that kind of stuff, with woods and smokiness. And beneath all of that, you do have Quentin Biche's, DNA. But I love it. It smells so good. It reminds me of Christmas because of that pininess it has. And of course, the color. It's exactly what you're smelling. So you've got that green beneath the creamy texture, the consistency. So, it's got a little bit of green right there. It's turned more to yellow, but it's a snow-covered Christmas tree with a creamy consistency. I love it. Gives me the idea a little bit of something like Fianagi. Not smell, except that the pininess out of the Fianagi comes here. But after that, it's different. But sort of like, imagine you're in a cabin. You've got snow outside. There's pine trees. You've got a fire burning. Maybe you're eating something very decadent and delicious and creamy. And you're smelling the pine, and you're smelling this kind of like dessert-like sweetness, but more creamy rather than super duper, desserty. It's so good, so good. It's actually kind of become a favorite amouage of mine. I don't know about you guys. I love the smell of pine, so anything that smells like pine, I'm there. So I really love that. And pine can smell a bit tired or old school. I don't care. I love the smell of pine. Anyway, next up is Opus 16. Sorry, it's the wrong one. Timber. So Opus 16 Timber. I was wondering when somebody was going to use the word timber in a fragrance. This to me, I don't know. It's a spicy, woody fragrance. It's not so exciting to me. But to me, when I put my nose to it, it really does smell like something that amouage would make. But something that amouage would make that would be, amouage-like for somebody that's not looking for something too adventurous. And I'm not saying Decision is very adventurous. This one's, to me, spices, woods, and some smoky touches. It's a nice, classy, masculine offering. But pretty much stops there. It's long-lasting, don't get me wrong. But I want a little more excitement and a little more contrast. And I feel like the notes that are used here are a bit too similar, and it blends in together to create something that doesn't contrast and stand out. Whereas with the Decision, you've got that pine woodiness, but you also have that creamy consistency that's kind of sweet and frosted. Here, everything is kind of blended together in not jumping out as much. At least that's how I'm experiencing Timber. But don't get me wrong, it's quite good the way it's done. It's just not as exciting of a fragrance for me as somebody else might think it is. There's also a very spa-like touch about it. Imagine walking into a steam room and it's all woods, and the smell of the woods, maybe it's cedar. You got that smell in here. I think if you like things like that, you might enjoy Timber, and I think the name is perfectly appropriate for it. So that is Timber from Amouage. Let me know if you're familiar with that. I'm going to be very careful here. I've got this table is piled. This is one of the videos with the bigger bottles. Like, they take over too much of space. And so I just have to make sure nothing tips over. But the next fragrance is also Amouage. I just remembered what the rule was. I made sure when I put this list together that there wasn't any brand that had more than 4 fragrances. And there's a few brands that released more than 4 fragrances. I've only featured 4 or less. But also, I should say, I don't have everything that was launched. So if I don't have something that you bought, I'm sorry, I didn't get my nose on it or wasn't able to buy it or acquire it. So I can't talk about it. But the next fragrance from Amouage is Purpose 50. I do have to say, I don't care for the original Purpose. This one is nicer, but they're both Quentin Biche. I still prefer Decision over Purpose 50. But I feel like when you compare this to the original Purpose, it's kind of gotten smoother and creamier, whereas the original was drier and dustier. And I feel like that creaminess kind of intensifies the ambery effect that is in here, which makes for something a bit more interesting. So it's ambery, resinous, and it's got incensey smokiness, but it's not dry resins, not dry amber and things like that. So it's quite unique, but still not my favorite from Amouage. For me, between the three, it's all about decision. Any of you like Christmas tree smells, you must get that and get your nose on it. I don't know. I just fell in love with it after I spoke about it. I thought that Existence would be my favorite, and I do enjoy Lily of the Valley in fragrances, and I enjoy that fragrance, but I can't believe how much Decision has grown on me because that visual that I get with it. Frosted, snow, creamy, you know, desserty kind of consistency against the pine. So yum. This is good. I enjoy Purpose 50 more than Timber, I should say. It's a bit more exciting than Timber. But I think some people don't want very adventurous. I'm not saying these are adventurous fragrances, but they don't want to go through a lot of different changes in a fragrance, and I think that Timber would suit them. I like contrasts quite a bit. But either way, that's Amouage's Purpose 50. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. So next we've got Atelier Materi Black Oregano. So a launch from this year. The brand launched 2 fragrances. I've got both of them here. Also, yesterday I did a deep dive on the house of Atelier Materi. Please go catch that if you haven't already. This is kind of an acquired taste. It's oregano, okay? So oregano, I mean, when was the last time you heard about oregano in a fragrance? Probably you heard it in Interlude Man from Amouage. We just spoke about Amouage. But here, it's an oregano bomb. So over there, it was contrasted with the dark resinous smoky amber with the Interlude. Here, they're really highlighting the oregano, and it's in your face oregano. So oregano is an herb, very distinct smell. I mean, it doesn't come up a lot in fragrances, so it comes up in Greek cuisine, comes up in Italian cuisine as well, and very, very unique smell. Not much in fragrances, and here again, it's like in your face oregano, lots of aromatics, so much of that. It's reminding me of, I have a jar of oregano. Sometimes when I open it up, I can get that whiff. It's reminding me of it, but there's other things here. There's woods and amber, maybe some slight smokiness, but it could be challenging to some people because it's kind of like food. But I like aromatics. I like herbs. This could be coming off a bit like herbs of Provence as well. So in an unusual way, I think this is an awesome release, but for me, I'm uncertain if I can wear this one and enjoy it, if that makes sense to you guys. What do you guys think? Black Oregano from the house of Atelier Materi. Are you a fan? The next fragrance from Atelier Materi is Vanille Carbone. So this is a vanilla-focused fragrance, but I think the trend of vanilla has probably... A lot of people are complaining they're done with or gourmands, right? So if you are done with gourmands, maybe try this. This is a dark, smoky, leathery vanilla. It acts kind of oily and greasy. And whatever dark notes that they've put with the vanilla, there's a dark, greasy oiliness about it. Just think of, I mean, I've hung around cars being repaired, the engine and all that kind of stuff. The oily greasiness there. Just imagine dripping vanilla on it. That's the kind of effect it gives me here. In the end, it's sweet, it's vanillic, but so much of it is crossed out because of that greasy, smoky oiliness, leatheriness. So once again, it's more of a daring fragrance. Both of the fragrances from Atelier Materi are pretty daring. And I thought that the previous 3 extracts from Atelier Materi were launched in 2025, but I looked it up and it's 2024. But for me, between all of the extracts now from the brand, I really enjoy Neroli Hasbaya. Delicious fragrance. This is, it's an acquired taste. It's a dark vanilla, leathery, smoky, oily, greasy vanilla. It's also created by Natalie Gracia Cheto over at Givaudan. She's done another vanilla fragrance called Vanilla Sex, which is quite polarizing. And this might be a bit polarizing as well. It's not a conventional vanilla. I prefer Vanilla Sex over this because I could easily wear it, and I like that kind of nougat almond effect Vanilla Sex is doing. This one, you have to be in the right mood, you know? It's a dark vanilla. All right, so that's Vanille Carbone. Then we're going to the house of Atelier d'Azur. It's NOVAE Vanilla, sorry. Let me know if you're a fan of this. What are your thoughts on this one? Does it remind you of vanilla powder? Yeah, it reminds me of it, but it's not identical, I should say. Vanilla powder is harsh, and it wasn't a fragrance I enjoyed. This one I enjoyed because it's a lot more elegant. It's softer, and kind of vanilla powder being dry and dusty and powdery. This one being more syrupy, gooey, still powdery. Here they're using mimosa. Mimosa is a dry, powdery note, slightly almondy. It's a spring note. In fact, I was actually just seeing some mimosa flowers bloomed already, and I was surprised because it usually blooms very early spring, like late winter. But it's a very distinct smell here, and I enjoy this one. If you don't like the harshness of Matier Premier's vanilla powder, you want something softer, more elegant, but still vanilla and powdery, but a little more syrupiness in there. Try NOVAE Vanilla from Atelier Materi. Beautiful bottle too, and the gold is super luxurious, and I love the Art Deco of this bottle. Big Art Deco fan here, so anything Art Deco. I think that's the reason why I fell in love with this brand. Well, I've discovered L'Homme Féline in 2015, like January 2015 at Javoy. But it was because it was Art Deco, and I was so drawn to the collection when they had first put it out that, at that time, really enjoyed L'Homme Féline and had to get a bottle of this beautiful new collection in Art Deco bottles. So there it is. The rest is history. All right, so the next two fragrances, I haven't discussed this brand's new releases. I know the brand is very polarizing. I'm going to only talk about the fragrances here. I don't want to talk about the brand itself. I first heard about these in September, early September, and I was flying to Florence, and I immediately went to their store and I saw the collection there. And I bought two of their fragrances. And again, as I said, I haven't spoken about this brand and their new releases because I know the brand has gone through a lot of craziness, which I don't want to get into. We're talking about fragrance here only. This is Balenciaga's Lady, the 2025 edition. So let me know if you guys have discovered this line. I have two of their fragrances that they just launched. And it's interesting also. It's their parent company is Kering, and Kering, acquired Creed 3 years ago, for what, almost $3 billion, or was it almost $4 billion? I can't believe it. And then they started releasing fragrances from some of their brands, and I thought that they would buy more big perfume brands like niche houses, but I guess they decided to sell all of their beauty to L'Oreal. So, but I have a vintage bottle of Ladies. Is that how you said Ladies? Ladies. So I have a vintage bottle of this, but this is the latest release. It's a powdery iris, slight bit vegetal. It's quite gorgeous. I enjoyed this one. Being an iris lover, there's sweetness there. I feel like there's also violet from smelling this again. Definitely a violet touch there, which adds slight greenness, light vegetal touches. Yeah. But let me know what your thoughts are. The bottles are super awesome. I love anything vintage looking. And this is a glass cap too. Anyway, that's LEDIS. The next one, also from Balenciaga. I remember I said I bought 2 of them. I carted this around for almost a month and a half in Europe because Florence was my first stop. This is 24/7. I felt like 24/7 was kind of a fresh take on something warm and vanillic. So I bought this in LEDIS 2025. It's ambery. It's not as strong as LEDIS 2025, but on skin it comes off more. It's woods, it's ambery, it's vanillic, but it's not like sugary sweet. I think behind it all, there's also like molecular notes. I'm smelling ambroxan, which is the reason why I got this, because there's a super sexiness about this. I love that a lot. It's definitely not the classic Balenciaga fragrances. Let me know if you've sampled this. Yeah, I don't know what L'Oreal is going to do with this brand now, but they own them, including Bottega Veneta and, of course, Creed. And I don't know, is Gucci still under Coty? Gucci is part of that brand. YSL also owns Kering, but YSL's beauty business has already been with L'Oreal for, several decades now. All right, let's move on to another fashion house from France called Balmain. This is CUIR ELYSEES. I think the fragrances of Balmain are really great. I mean, obviously they don't match any of their older fragrances, but there's definitely some good ones there. This one I really enjoy. It's quite fruity. It's a leather. Slight animalic smokiness, but enough brightness to balance it out. I can't remember who did this one. Wait a minute. I don't know if this is... I don't know if this is subconscious. Why is this reminding me of IMPADIA, which is coming right up after this? That's strange. I know that Balmain fragrances are created by Givaudan perfumers, but I think not all of them are. This is reminding me a little bit of IMPADIA, which IMPADIA is Jordi Fernandez. This is reminding me of it. I don't know why. But for sure, leathery. But I've never stacked IMPADIA after CUIR ELYSEES before, so I don't know if it's subconscious, as I said, or if it has touches of it. Very strange. Let me know if you've got your nose on... Well, I'm knocking things over. Of this, the newest release from Balmain called CUIR ELYSEES. I think that's how you say it. Sorry if I'm butchering the name. But next we've got IMPADIA from BDK. So BDK's IMPADIA, for me, does remind me of Guidance. But Guidance in a different way. Well, for sure the CUIR ELYSEES is leathery, but something behind there is reminding me of IMPADIA, which is strange. And IMPADIA is not leathery at all. It's more of a creamy, powdery, rosy consistency. I think IMPADIA has been pretty popular for the brand. BDK launched 3 fragrances this year. I think the latest release from the house is the most polarizing, the Vanilla Caviar. Or Vanille Caviar. I'm getting those all mixed up. Vanille Caviar and Vanilla Caviar. Or like Vanilla or Vanille. This is good though. It's not one of my favorite fragrances. A lot of people think it's either Guidance or it reminds them of, what is it called? Delina. This is actually Jordi Fernandez. So Delina and Guidance is Quentin Biche. Yeah. But for me, I felt like the strongest of the three that launched by BDK this year is Nectar Oud. And even though I've been so bored of Oud, this one's really, like, it's hefty. It's an extrait de parfum, so it's a straight to extrait de parfum release, whereas the brand has already launched 3 extrait de parfums, which are Passoir, Gris Charnel, and Rouge Smoking. So this is the 4th extrait de parfum from the brand, but the first extrait de parfum that hasn't had a previous release. So it's greasy, oily, smoky, woody oud with this intensity of fruits and light rosy touches. Sure, it might remind a little bit of the moon, a little bit, but this one is not, it doesn't have there's something about the moon that's kind of airy. Like I envision things floating in the air. This one, because it has the greasy oiliness, it seems heavier. But I love the way it smells. And also the oud in this, I think, is a very Western oud. There's nothing animalic about this. If you consider greasy, oily fragrances to be animalic, then maybe you might find this animalic. But to me, the oud is not animalic whatsoever. I love that. Definitely solid. This is Nectar Oud. So this is I think it's a Harrods exclusive, but I'm assuming it's going to not be permanently a Harrods exclusive. It should launch soon, I'm hoping. The next fragrance and the final fragrance from BDK is Vanille Caviar. Yeah, this one, to me, I don't click with it, unfortunately, sadly. The brand also has another vanille fragrance, Vanille Leather. I love that. I absolutely love Vanille Leather. I'm hoping they would make an extrait de parfum because I like it. I love it a lot, and it's not super beastly, like super intense. This one, it's just a strange release for me. There's I don't know what it is, but the texture of this acts like if you've ever seen chia seeds in some kind of a yogurty kind of a drink floating. I don't know if that's my subconscious way of thinking about caviar, but that's what I get from it. This kind of like chia seeds for health drinks with like a yogurty, liquidy consistency. And perhaps it has vanilla, there's woods in there, there's musk. It's a bit salty, it's a bit sweet. Maybe that's what I'm thinking is caviar. But more like a sweet drink rather than like salty caviar from fish. What are your thoughts on Vanille Caviar? Do you enjoy it? I know there's fans of it. I don't despise it, but it's not like it doesn't click with me as much. So that's Vanille Caviar. Let me know your thoughts. Add a comment below. Let's move on to some fragrances from the house of Boadicea the Victorious. First of which is LANNOSEA. Let me know your thoughts on LANNOSEA. LANNOSEA? Is that how you say it? Whoa. This is super delicious, honestly. To me, it gives me the vibe of lemon cake or lemon chiffon cake with a lemon frosting. So it's creamy, lemony, and sweet, and also powdery dusty. So it's kind of like a gourmand, but I wouldn't say this is super sweet because there's a saltiness about it, but it's quite dusty, and the lemon really stands out. There's some green aromatics contrasted against it as well, and eventually it's going down the route of amber and woods when it's drying down. That's quite good. Let me know if your thoughts, let me know if you've heard of or sampled LANNOSEA. All right, and then next we've got OPAL from the same brand. What are your thoughts on OPAL? These fragrances are pretty potent, I have to say. This one to me is also very animalic. Musky and animalic. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's pretty. This one's a dirty one. There's a slight bandagey touch. Oh, man. This could be very, very polarizing. What are your thoughts on OPAL? It has a snake on the label and also on the top. So kind of refers to the animal. It is animalic, super musky, very medicinal, and also kind of bandagey. So there's a medical quality, not medical or medicinal nurse's station. Whoa, that's pretty animalic. Anyway, that is OPAL. There you go. From the house of Boadicea the Victorious. Next, we've got 4 Born to Stand Out fragrances. So Born to Stand Out launches a lot of fragrances. So I believe they've launched 6 this year of these kind of burgundy red bottles. They've also launched 5 or 6 of these clear bottles this year, and multiple collaborations with retailers. This is a Selfridges collaboration. And of course, they've got so many in the white bottles as well. So I don't know if they've launched 10 this year or 15, but as I said at the beginning of the video or throughout the video, the rule was only 4. The 4 is the cap because I don't want to make a video about one certain brand. And there are a few brands in here that have 4, but most of them are 3, 2, and some are 1 for sure. So first fragrance from Born to Stand Out is CUVEE Skin. This is part of that kind of, the collection's called Eau Intimite. So I think they're kind of musky, skin scenty kind of fragrances. But to me, majority of them don't act very skin scenty. This is a fizzy, sparkling, kind of a musky, sweet fragrance. So it's got like a champagne type notes in here. So it doesn't act very skin scented, even though it's called Eau Intimite collection. By the way, Born to Stand Out has now some kind of a deal with L'Oreal. I think they own like a small stake of Born to Stand Out. But anyway, let me know if you're familiar with CUVEE Skin. Next, we've got Dirty Milk. This one's a bit polarizing. Yeah, very. Dirty Milk is exactly that. But for me, on the dry down, it's like a great, delicious lactonic gourmand. But when you first smell it, it's a bit yogurty, almost turned milk, which can be unpleasant to people. Yeah, it's a bit of an unpleasant smell there. If you've ever experienced milk going bad or yogurt going bad, this starts off that way. But the dry down is so awesome. It's a milky gourmand, sweet, cozy, comfy. You just have to get through the first part of the fragrance. That's yum, but be warned. The next one, I think it's the Selfridges exclusive. It's Free Cocoa. I think this was one of my favorites, and then the next one coming after. Really love it. Although, what's the one? Choco Loco. I don't have that one here. I would have added that in here because it was a delicious, creamy, chocolatey fragrance. But this is so delicious. Free Cocoa is coconutty, toasty, kind of nutty, gourmand. Super delicious. Really yummy. I think it's got a sweet and savory side. Not necessarily super sweet. And maybe there's rice in here. Super delicious. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. Free Cocoa. I believe it's a Selfridges exclusive. I'm not sure if this is getting a worldwide release, though. There we go. And the last but not least, it's Oud Candy. My favorite of the ouds. But I think some people are preferring some of the other ouds. But I really love Oud Candy. It's super strong on me. I love the way it performs on me. I love that sweetness. And also the funkiness of the oud. It's dark and oily because these are so highly concentrated. But really, really wonderful offering. I love it. I love its intensity. It's got a bit of a moldy smell. I think the oud is not necessarily like the real oud. I think it's an accord, but they've done something to it to kind of come off a bit, you know, like the real thing. I love the way that performs on me. It's a long-lasting fragrance. Oud Candy from the House of Born to Stand Out. Let me know if you're familiar with it. Next, we're going to the House of Bulgari. This is Tigar Extra. Yeah, it was not super... Well, first of all, anybody that hasn't worn Tigar and goes straight to the Tigar Extra might be like, wow, that's awesome. But if you're so used to Tigar or any of those similar fragrances like Vibrato and Kajal 3, Hedonist, you're going to really enjoy that. This, to me, I think the fact that they've added resinous ambery touches to it, and it's got smoky, slight leathery touches, it takes away from that sexiness that Tigar is. But it's an extrait de parfum, so it's going to perform a lot better than the original Tigar. But I don't know if this is going to be as popular. I think this is going to be for the fans of Tigar that want to go to the, you know, the more darker resinous ambery side of Tigar. Let me know if you guys are into the original Tigar or the new Tigar Extra. I think Tigar Extra is getting the launch here at the end of the month. Next month, I should say. Well, depending on... Yeah, this airs still in December. So I think end of January, somewhere around January, February, it's launching. So I think stores will get it. But I still think that the original Tigar is going to be the more popular. Even though this performs much better than the original. Anyway, that is Tigar Extrait de Parfum from the House of Bulgari. All right. Now, by Kilian's Angel Share on the Rocks. What a dud. What a dud. Don't care for this one whatsoever. No. So they took the Angel Share DNA and added like a sweet orange to it to freshen it up, to take away its warmth. But I don't think it works at all. I wouldn't wear this. I'm talking about it, but I wouldn't wear it. I mean, Angel Share is not my favorite of the liquors. If you haven't caught my video on the Kilian liquors, go catch it. This is like way at the bottom of the list. I mean, there's one that I hate even more than this, so you go catch that video to find out what it is. But this is not anything special. I think people that don't like gourmands might like this one, but there are much better, fresher fragrances than this. I mean, I much prefer the Paradis version over the On the Rocks version. The Paradis version is so super strong, highly concentrated. It's an extrait de parfum. And I was mentioning in the video of the Kilian liquors, this to me acts like an old-fashioned, not smell like their fragrance called old-fashioned. If you're drinking the real old-fashioned, it acts like it because there's a thickness about this, the intensity of the booze or the liquor that's in there. So it acts like it. It's super strong, really, really intense. I mean, between the three flankers of Angel Share, I much prefer the original, but it's not my favorite of the liquors. So you're going to have to go watch that video to find out what my favorite is. But I prefer the Paradis over the On the Rocks. But once again, the Paradis is also lower. It's not my favorite of the three, as I said. This is just so strong and intense. When I first started wearing this, my nose, I got, blind, like nose blind. Because there's a lot of ambroxan amber woods in the base. So it's super, super dense and heavy. So it kind of takes away from the fragrance, which is kind of sweet and boozy and warm, spicy, the original Angel Share. Yeah. Let me know which of the Angel Share flankers is your favorite. The Angel Share Paradis or the Angel Share on the Rocks. All right, I guess we're on the second page. We've already talked about one of the fragrances on the second page. Now we're on to Carolina Herrera, which is a brand I rarely speak about. But this came out in 2025. This is Stallion Leather Suede from the Confidential collection. This is a limited edition, it says also. This is also created by Jordi Fernandez. It's my favorite of the two Stallion Leather fragrances. The suede is a bit softer. I like that. There's a sweetness around it. There's a sweetness around the harshness of the leather. It's powdery. It's not so animalic. But it's not a gourmand, honestly. It's just a soft suede leather. Powdery, very powdery for sure. I started talking about the Carolina Herrera Confidential collection probably like 10 years ago. I first bought the Rose in the collection, and then I bought Mystery Tobacco. I'm clearly out of those two fragrances, but I guess I stopped talking about the brand because not the brand. Yeah, I don't talk about the brand either. But I stopped talking about that collection because nobody near me has ever sold it throughout the years. It's not easy to find here. You have to go to a Carolina Herrera boutique, and there's not a lot out there. So I stopped talking about it, but they do honestly have a few good releases like this Stallion Leather Suede. It's leathery, it's animalic, but it's softened up with some slight sweetness there. So it comes off dry and dusty, powdery, leathery for sure. So that is Stallion Leather Suede by the House of Carolina Herrera. Let me know your thoughts on that Confidential line. I don't talk about any of the other fragrances. I don't care for the bad boy fragrances. And the good girl, those fragrances are also not my favorite. But Carolina Herrera in the early 90s launched a men's fragrance that I wore so much of, like around 93. It was the tall bottle. I was obsessed with that fragrance. I loved it so much, but I haven't owned it for a long time. I don't even know how it smells. I don't even know if it's selling. I forgot the name. I think it's like, is it Carolina Herrera for men? Something like that. Add a comment below. But the next fragrance I'm talking about is Clive Christian's L Red Tea Vetiver. By the way, I have the most amazing red tea that I drink. It's an herbal tea. It's from Mariage Frère. It's called Rouge Bourbon. Super awesome flavor if you guys like teas and you want to drink a tea at night, but you don't want to stay awake because it's got caffeine. The Rouge Bourbon, super luxurious flavor. I add a little sweetness. I add a little agave in it. And man, it is super awesome. The flavor is just awesome. It's almost like vanilla and booziness mixed in with this red tea, which is rooibos tea. It's great. But here, this fragrance, Red Tea Vetiver. So it's a vetiver fragrance. It's very fresh. And you have those red tea qualities, but I think they're very, very faint here. To add a slight aromatic touch. But I think it's kind of like highlighting the vetiver here more. The vetiver is the star pretty much, but it's in, you know, it's highlighted by the red tea pretty much. Adds its freshness and smoothness and its aromatic qualities. But for me, I think it's the vetiver that's really speaking there. That's the, you know, the prominent note. All right, next fragrance, we're going to talk about a Comme des Garçons release. It's called Classic Perdu Vaquera. I think that's how you say it. You know, I actually shot a video of this fragrance unboxing, but I freaking lost it. Because it was in the middle of a couple of trips and I can't find it. But the presentation for this is quite fun. This is also created by Suzy Lahele, and it's a tomato leaf focused fragrance. So good. Wow. It's green, pulpy, succulent, fresh, a bit greasy as well, but lots of green aromatics and bitter green notes, like stems, a bit like aloe vera, and that's where I'm getting the pulpiness, the succulent touches. That's great. Let me know if you're a fan of that. I like this bottle. This is all on this bottle. It's not like, it's like supposed to be like maybe you went to like a vintage perfume shop, not a vintage perfume shop, but a like places that sell used things, and it's like got all kinds of tape on it. And that's the deal with that fragrance. But next, going to the house of Creed, it's Oud Zarian, created by Cecile Zarokian. Oud Zarian, created by Cecile Zarokian. Hey, are they kind of playing off her name? It's an Armenian name. And I'm also Armenian, by the way, if you guys didn't know. So this, to me, reminds me of Royal Tobacco from Creed. I'm sorry, not Creed. What am I saying? Amouage. But different. I don't think this is one of Cecile's stronger fragrances, but I think it has its fans. There's green touches. Of course, it's got oudi touches, but it just reminds me of Royal Tobacco. But beneath it all, there's amber, and there's woods and oud, slight smokiness. But it's not exciting. I was a fan of Royal Tobacco, but for some reason, Royal Tobacco reminds me of Christmas trees. Do you guys ever get that? I don't think it's a strong tobacco fragrance. I enjoy the fragrance though. Here, I don't get the Christmas tree at all. To me, it's kind of syrupy and molassesy, almost like chocolate. And for some strange reason, it reminds me of Born to Stand Out's Mud a little bit, because it comes off a bit muddy. What do you guys think? It comes in the most gorgeous bottle though. And for me, the color is what I smell. This color is what I'm smelling here, this fragrance. So they got the right color for this bottle, honestly. Sometimes they put like a pink bottle and you're smelling dark smoke, so it doesn't make sense. But for that fragrance, they've done it correct because that's what I'm getting. But the next fragrance, going to the house of Dior. This is Bois d'Argent Esprit de Parfum. I don't care what you guys say. I absolutely love this fragrance. It's overpriced, yes. But to me, taking the original into a dark, thick, smoky, honey direction with resins and iris is so awesome. It's also a slight bit animalic because the honey is amplified. But I like that sweet, smoky combo. Bois d'Argent, I think, is a sleeper hit for Dior. It's always been there, never been discontinued. So it was obvious that they were going to make a Esprit de Parfum version of it, which they just did. And it's my third pickup in the Esprit de Parfum collection. I'm not sure if I'll buy any more unless they come up with something else. First being Rouge Trafalgar, second being Gris Dior. I think this might even be number 2 now. Rouge Trafalgar at number 1 still. But Bois d'Argent Esprit de Parfum, it's super, super luxurious. I love it. If you like contrast, this one you get contrasts quite a bit. The sweet honeyed powdery iris against the resinous smoky, incensey touches. It's so delicious. All right, so that is actually a great release, but still super overpriced. Now to the dud. It's Bois Talisman. Now, remember I said the men's fragrances are in a separate video. If you want to find out about Dior Homme Parfum 2025, go catch that video. But this is also not so exciting. I actually reviewed it, but I don't know. It's not... I mean, I don't understand how they would release something like this when... I don't know, maybe they needed something like this. But this is, I mean, they've launched Fève Delicious before from this collection, Vanilla Diorama, Tobacco Color, and then you got Bois Talisman. What the hell? It's a boring fragrance, super, super boring. I mean, it reminds me of, by the fireplace. But you can get that already for so much cheaper. Boring fragrance. I didn't buy Rose Star. That was also launched this year. Now we've got CUIR Saddle coming out. Hopefully I'll have that soon and I can report on it for you guys. But what are your thoughts on Bois Talisman? Do you like it? This is also launched around the time when they changed their bottles from 250 to 200 ml. This is my first 200 ml bottle. Sorry. All right, next, we've got Dries Van Noten Havana Gold. Super gorgeous bottle. I just dropped this, by the way, guys. Thankfully, it didn't break. Shit. There's a little rag I have here for all the spraying that I do, so it fell on the rag, which protected it. But Havana Gold is also created by Jordi Fernandez. I gotta straighten it out here a little bit. So Havana Gold is a super sticky, sweet, honeyed, dry, leafy, spicy tobacco. It's I mean, you can smell the stickiness here. It's ambery resinous stickiness, but it also acts a bit honeyed. But there's also warm spices. So it's a very warm fragrance. That color is what I'm smelling here. The combo of the colors. Do you guys smell in color? And do you guys smell in texture? Let me know. Add a comment below. Yeah. The fact that there's a sticky molassesy consistency here. And I don't get much smoke, if at all. To me, it's leafy, totally leafy tobacco. But definitely one of the best from the house. So that is Dries Van Noten Havana Gold. Now we've got two Electimus London fragrances. First of which is Moroccan Medjool, which was featured in the previous mystery box. Let me know if you guys got that. And this was in there. So Medjool dates, right? Who's a fan of eating dates? I've been eating dates lately, stuffed with walnuts. Oh man, so delicious. So this is kind of a rosy, this is also sticky, and I feel like I'm getting that from the dates, because dates are super sticky, and they create a bit of an ambery touch in fragrances, but fruity, but not like your super fruity intensity. This is got an ambery stickiness, but more fruitiness than Medjool dates, and also a bit of floralcy, like rosiness. I have to say, it does remind me a little bit of Lamar from Kajal. Anyway, that is Moroccan Medjool. Who's a fan of that one? And then we've got Vesper Reverie. I believe the brand launched 3 fragrances this year. I think I only have these 2 to talk about. Between the 2, Moroccan Medjool is my favorite. This one, unfortunately, doesn't do it for me. What do you guys think of Vesper Reverie? It's spicy, it's woody and ambery, but there's a salty bitterness there as well. Yeah, not a favorite of mine. Anyway, that is Vesper Reverie from the House of Electimus London. Let me know between the 2 which is your favorite. This next one is an awesome scent that I love. It's from Eccentric Molecules, Molecule 1 plus Cistus. This is actually part of our mystery box, our latest mystery box. Big fan of Eccentric Molecules. I absolutely love Eccentric Molecules. One of my favorite houses of all time. And here, what they've done is added Cistus labdanum to ISOE Super for the Molecule 1 fragrance. So Molecule 1 original is ISOE Super, which smells of cedar and sandalwood. Mostly cedar, a little bit sandalwood. So it's super woody, dusty, powdery, dry, musky note. So they've added the Cistus note to give it that kind of smoky, ambery, sticky, resinous quality. So they've intensified it, even though it's just 2 notes or 2 ingredients to create the fragrance, which is great, simplistic on its own, but not just the ISOE Super. You've got something else here to give it a little bit more depth. You can wear it on its own minimalistically, or use it to layer fragrances with. Like this Molecule 1 plus Cistus would be a great addition to layer amber fragrances, because Cistus labdanum is what they use to create the amber accord with. So it just intensifies it, maybe makes it a bit more sticky, and of course resinous acting, and smoky and spicy as well, because To me, it smells like a rock rose, which is what the Cistus labdanum is. For me, sometimes in autumn when I'm hiking in hills that have the rock rose, when they've been baking under the sun in the autumn heat, you can smell that here a little bit with this fragrance. There's also a little smoky incensiness there, which is a very interesting smell. I love it. It adds a slight churchiness to the mix. That is labdanum, Cistus labdanum. If you've ever smelled that sticky resin, it just smells just like that. So that's Eccentric Molecules Molecule 1 plus Cistus. Next, we've got Essential Parfums Velvet Iris, which was also part of our latest mystery box. For an iris, what do you guys think of this one? If you caught my video with Geraldine of Essential Parfums, she said she didn't want to make a sweet iris. So she wanted to make something like this. It's a green-leaning iris to me. Green vegetal, it's powdery. Buttery, but not creamy. But super powdery. This is a Dominique Ropion creation. I find that this is like, I like the warmth that they add to iris. Like, for example, in Dior Homme Parfum, the original, they've added warmth to it. I like that kind of an iris. This is a lot colder. I think the greenness lends itself to being cold. It's a colder iris fragrance, a bit stark. But I think there's definitely a place and time for something like this. Let me know your thoughts on Essential Parfums Velvet Iris. Are you a fan? Add a comment below. So we're moving to the house of Goldfield and Banks. We've got 2 fragrances from the house. First of which is Pacific Rock Flower. And then my favorite of the 2, Tales of Amber, which I'll get to after this. So this is like a flanker of, well, I don't know if it's really a flanker of Pacific Rock Moss, but capitalizing on the success of Pacific Rock Moss, I believe. It's much more of a floral kind of marine aquatic ozonic thing. It's fresh. It's not a bad fragrance, but between the 2 fragrances from Goldfield and Banks, I really click with Tales of Amber. But this is also kind of a fresh aquatic, freshy to wear during the summer months. You can really smell the watery presence, the aquatic presence here. Thankfully, it's not going marine, even though I think it's inspired by marine foliage and flowers. Same thing with Pacific Rock Moss. It's a marine focused, but it didn't go like fishy marine smelling, thankfully. So both of them don't. But this one, definitely you can really experience that wetness that, water adds to, things. But really the presence of flowers is prominent here. And also I feel like there's a crispness here, kind of like crisp like cucumbers, but more like violet leaves. All right, so that is Pacific Rock Flower. This was also part of our Scent Club kit. Next, we've got Tales of Amber. Super awesome scent. I love this one. Absolutely love it. It's kind of like a sweet and salty amber because it's amber with resins and also amber with ambergris. So it can come off a bit marine, but more like ambergris marineness. But there's also warm spices here, other resins. But it's not going into the full-on like syrupy amber direction because it's got those minerally kind of ambergris touches that are present here. Salty. It's so good. Really, really love this. I think it's the same perfumer as this Vaquera Classic Perdu from Comme des Garçons. It's Suzy Lehele. She's fast becoming a favorite perfumer of mine. She was working with Annick Menardo doing the Boss Bottled fragrances until they moved the Boss Bottled line to the Firmenich perfumers. but they did some great work there. And then this Tales of Amber is awesome. And also the classic Perdu is also awesome. It's green fragrance. But this is, Tales of Amber is definitely much more substantial as a fragrance. I love it. Hey, you can see me there. All right, so that's Goldfield and Banks. We've got 4 fragrances from Gucci. Gucci's Alchemist Garden collection fragrances. Who's been following their fragrances from that line? So it was for a time, they were all Alberto Moria's fragrances. Now they've branched out to other fragrance houses to create them. But unfortunately, I did not memorize the perfumers for these. But the first of which that I'm going to talk about is Fiori di Neroli. This to me is a green-leaning Neroli-focused freshie. I feel like the Neroli they're using here is not super ripened and bloomed. There's a greenness about it, so they're kind of young. But it's your typical citrus floral, kind of orange blossom Neroli scent with citruses, slight green-leaning touches, and woods and spices thrown in. I like that a lot. Perfect to wear in the summertime, I think, if you are into the idea of wearing citrus floral notes. So that is Fiori di Neroli from the Gucci Alchemist Garden collection. So then, I love this one. This is Muschio Mineralis from Gucci. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. I think mineral fragrances are becoming more and more popular as of late. And this is Muschio. And there's like a peppery, incensey, minerally touch thrown in. It's so good. I mean, it'll remind you a little bit of church, I think, because of that peppery spiciness and the incensey smokiness. But I think they did a great job. Whoever is the perfumer on this one, love it. There's another Muschio release, Luce, I think, Muschio Luce, which I didn't care for. Well, I think it's just a very minimalistic skin scent. Here, I enjoy it a lot more. Anyway, that is Muschio Mineralis. And let me know if you're familiar with that one. Up next, we've got Rosa Incandescente. So they launched 2 Muschio fragrances, as I said, and they've also launched 2 Rosa fragrances. This is my favorite of the 2. And it's strange because it's a marine rose fragrance. Generally not into them. It's more marine than salt here. I think the perfumer on this one is Ralph Schweiger, who did Lipstick Rose from Frederic Malle, and I think it's Cécile Matan. I think there were 2 perfumers. This one I remember. Matan? Cécile Matan? I think that's who both of the perfumers are. Yeah, I enjoy this one. It's powdery, though. Not a jammy rose. There's marine touches, spices, some slight greenness. And of course, it's the rose. Once again, it's a summer fragrance, I think. Summer appropriate. So that is Rosa Incandescente. I hope I'm saying that right in Italian. Lastly, from Gucci, it's Vanilla Firenze. This is also one of those darker takes on vanilla fragrances. Comes in this black bottle, as you can see. And it's a dark and smoky vanilla. It's not super sugary, sweet, and vanillic. I think there's a slight reminder of something like Black Afghano in here. but much sweeter. It's dark, it's dry and dusty, which I find to be a thread running throughout the whole collection of fragrances from the Alchemist Garden for Gucci. There's a slight chalkiness here, but almost like ashy, smoky chalk with the vanilla, which obviously vanilla is gooey, syrupy, and when you mix it with that chalkiness, it makes for a dry consistency. So that is Vanilla Firenze for a darker, smokier take on vanilla fragrances. Next, we're going to Guerlain with 3 launches. First of which is Ambre Samar. Remember, keep in mind, I have a second video like this with another 100 fragrances of smaller indie niche houses. So stay tuned for that video. It'll go up by Friday, I think. So it's another deep dive with another 100 fragrances. And then I've got a really great theme for a deep dive on Saturday for my Saturday video. So if you like watching deep dive videos, please head to the playlist of all the deep dive videos that I have. It's hours and hours of fragrances that I'm talking about. A lot of classics, but a lot of modern things like today as well. I also break down notes, genres, perfumers, fragrances, and so on. So if you want to learn about, anything about perfumes and how they smell, you can go to that playlist and watch those videos back to back to back to back. There's a lot. So it's hours and hours and hours of content to watch. So this Ambre Samar was recently featured in a amber fragrances video. I specifically bought it because there seemed to have been a lot of amber releases in 2025. This is definitely one of them here. It's a very Middle Eastern style focused amber. It's warm and spicy, resinous for sure, and woody. There's a red hot experience with it. And the color, it's like you look at the color and you get that kind of, it reminds me of red hots. If you've ever eaten those, as a kid I used to. Later my mouth would be all on fire. So this gives me that kind of an experience. It's sweet, it's spicy, it's woody, it's resinous, powdery. This is part of the Absoluz Allegoria collection. So that is Ambre Samar from the House of Guerlain. And then I've got Shalimar Lessons from Guerlain. Stay tuned for a video I've done on the 100-year anniversary of Shalimar, with excerpts of my chat with Delphine Jelk of Guerlain. This is a fragrance that didn't wow me at first, but grew on me so much that I love it. But it's a very modern take on the original Shalimar. Super vanillic and ambery. It's good. Really good. In that video, for the 100-year anniversary of Shalimar, I mentioned that it's become one of my favorite fragrances throughout the years. And I talk about when I first heard about Shalimar and how I think it's a better offering, a better historic offering compared to Chanel No. 19. And also how unisex it is compared to some other fragrances. But I think Lessons is good. I was expecting to be wowed. I wasn't wowed, but I think it's a really solid offering. They did a pretty darn good job with it. So that's Shalimar Lessons from the House of Guerlain. 100-year anniversary release. Finally, this had a lot going for it, but unfortunately, it's a bummer. It's not so exciting for me. It's Vetiver Fauve. I think when I first smelled this, it reminded me of... What did it remind me of? Yeah, something it reminded me of, and now I'm not remembering. I think what's going on here is the fruitiness is clashing for me. I think it's also competing with one of their biggest men's fragrance sellers, vetiver. So I like it, I don't love it, It has a very green vegetal presence. What do you guys think? Do you get that? It's quite earthy. It's vetiver to the max, but the fruits in there are not really working as much as I would like to. And I was a big fan of vetiver for so long. I've kind of been bored of it. And I feel like vetiver is such a strong presence. It has a very strong smell. A lot of things don't go with it. And here I feel like whatever fruitiness they have in there just doesn't mesh well. Anyway, that is Vetiver Fauve from Guerlain. Those are the 3 Guerlain fragrances. And then we've got 2 fragrances from Jeroboam, with Kunamo being so awesome. I love Kunamo. I love the muskiness with the juicy pear. It's a super awesome fragrance to wear in the heat also. I love this. So awesome. There's so many different musks thrown in here, which is kind of cool. The musky notes are really, really awesome. And to mesh them with this juiciness of the pear, it works. And I think pear as a fruity note is not one of those really loud fruits. Like, for me, as a smell, when you smell the actual fruit, it doesn't have a super strong smell. So what they've done here is they've supercharged the smell and amplified it, so it smells like over-ripened pear, but still fresh. And all those musks against it, when you wear this, it's awesome. In the heat, it shines. It might come off a bit strong for the heat, but I love it. It's a great release from the House of Jeroboam. So that is Kunamo. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Add a comment below. And then I'm smelling this for the first time on camera. This is Jeroboam's Your Oudness. I know, Reflection City. There is Your Oudness. Brand spanking new. I think this was... is it Harrods exclusive or is it a Selfridges exclusive? I forget. Here we go. I haven't smelled it yet. So, first time on camera. It's a super spicy, resinous take on a Western oud. I think in the ballpark of something like oud wood, but different enough that it doesn't, smell like oud wood. Just in that kind of a styling. Western oud, kind of pungent, oud accord, lots of woods, lots of spices, some slight light warmth under there, but not like super warm. I prefer Kunamo over Your Oudness, but I think Your Oudness will be very popular for the Western oud spicy fragrance lover. It's an extrait de parfum too, so if you've been focused on oud wood, which is an eau de parfum, you can go with an extrait de parfum and make your fragrance be stronger. So let's move on to the Jill Sander luxury collection of fragrances. I've got 2 here of these nipple bottles. You like those? So this is Coffea, or coffee. Here's how the bottles are. I actually fell in love with this collection. I wanted to get my nose on them for the longest time when they first announced earlier this year. Then I was in Munich, in Germany, and I had to find the Jill Sander store because I think it's a German brand, right? So I found the store and there I sampled them. I bought the second one that I'm going to talk about, Leaf, but they were also launched at Printemps in Paris. So I bought Coffea. Oh, that's good. Coffea is a dry, dusty coffee with slight chocolatey nuances. But it's almost like, imagine you have a bag of beans and you're shaking them, and that smell that's floating up in the air, the dryness, is kind of what you get here. It's coffee beans, maybe a little bit ground coffee beans, and you shaking up like whole coffee beans together. So it's got that dry consistency, the woodiness, the spiciness. And then, of course, in there, there's some slight creaminess as well beneath it all. Great coffee fragrance. Coffea. So that is Jil Sanders Coffea. And then we've got Leaf. This is the first fragrance I bought from the Munich store. The first one I talked to you about, I bought in Paris at the Printemps Boutique. So Leaf is tomato leaves. So tomato leaves have become very popular. I mean, I already spoke about one from Comme des Garçons. And here I have Leaf from Jil Sanders. By the way, we're on this next page. It's green and bitter. And like stem. And vines. Pea vines. Pea shoots. It's just super green and springy. Everything is like, the vegetation is just grown and overgrowth of it. A lot of rain came, so it just kind of like made the whole place like grow so fast. And you're walking through, there's a little bit of wetness there still because it's got a wetness here. You're crushing through the greens and you're smelling all the leaves and vegetation. Perhaps it's also rained on them because, like I said, I get it like a wet texture here. But it's super fresh. Love that. So that is Leaf from Jil Sanders. So up next, we've got one from Javoy. It's Halong Bay. So Javoy, Jeroboam are sister houses. I wish I liked this more, but unfortunately, I never was the biggest mango fan. I mean, for the mango lover, I think this is going to be perfect. It's a green mango with a slight creaminess under there. So it's kind of gourmand and fruity. But there's a slight green bitterness there as well. Between Jeroboam's Kunamo and Javoy's Halong Bay, I much prefer Kunamo. And both of them are fruity, but I like that pear juiciness and the muskiness much more than this green. And I love green fragrances. You know, I love green fragrances, but this greenness of the mango with that kind of creamy pulpiness, it's not working for me as much. But that's just me. What do you guys think? That is Halong Bay from the House of Javoy. All right, we're up to the House of Kajal next. We've got 3 fragrances in a row with Colada starting things off from Kajal. This bottle is gorgeous, by the way. They did such a great job on this bottle. And is that referring to Pina Colada? This is Colada with a K, not a C. Yeah, I've worn this, and I really like the way it smells on me. It's creamy, fruity, but fun. It's pineapple for sure. It's pineapple and coconutty. I think the creaminess comes from coconut. It's a very uplifting, happy fragrance. It's almost like you're at some kind of a islandy tropical destination and you're just chugging down pina coladas. Don't get sick off of them. I don't drink cocktails like that, but now that I'm smelling this again, it kind of makes me want to go somewhere tropical and drink pina coladas. But the thing I like is I used to get the pina colada effect with Creed's Aventus and Virgin Island water layer together. But here, you really have the creaminess of the pina colada. Like, literally, they have this thick creaminess in here that's acting like real coconut water or coconut milk. That is Colada. Really love that. Look at the bottle. That design is so good. So basically, the design on there is basically the same thing here, just all over the bottle. Next, we've got Ruby. So I guess Kajal is known as the fruity fragrance, folks, right? Because we had a fragrance in the latest mystery box by Kajal as well. It was Topaz, which is coming right up. That was also fruity. Here, I think they're going into the cherry direction. I'm not the biggest fan of this one. I mean, I like it. It's like, okay, it's another cherry fragrance, but I much prefer the Colada over this. This has a bitterness against the cherries. It's almost a bit like a cherry lozenge as well. A little bit. I kind of thought maybe Ruby would be more like Ruby grapefruit, but it's definitely focusing on cherries. And I think it's named after the emerald. Look at that. Yeah, I don't care for this one much. I'm kind of bored of cherry fragrances. The last cherry fragrance that I really loved was Cherry Stem from Fleur, which will be coming up soon. But this one, it's not a wow for me. And then lastly from Kajal is Topaz. This was in our mystery bag. Did you guys check out Topaz in the mystery box? Let me know what your thoughts are. But literally, Kajal does great work with fruity fragrances. This is also fruity, but a slight bitter, woody, spicy. But I think it's not an in-your-face fruitiness. I think the inspiration and the smell fits Topaz perfectly. And Colada is like perfect, actually. But Ruby is the one that doesn't do it for me much, sadly. Maybe I'm just kind of bored of cherry fragrances in general. But I like the fact that Topaz doesn't go super sweet and fruity, but there's a fruit there for sure. Let me know if you got to check out Topaz in the latest mystery box. What are your thoughts? Add a comment below. Then we're going to the house of Keali. We've got 4 fragrances from the house. First of which, these two are, well, not in that order. Well, no, actually here. First one is Fleur Majesty Rose Royale 31. It's fruity, rosy, musky, and woody. This is quite feminine. But I don't think it's girly. It's just a feminine, fruity, floral fragrance with musk and woods. Spices maybe along the way. I think it's quality work. I wouldn't wear this one. I think to this day, my favorite fragrance from Keali is the musk and the 2 sandalwoods. Those 3 are so awesome. I mean, I've worn like probably 2 bottles of the musk. It's so awesome. I love that fragrance. It's dry, powdery, dusty, super musky. But the next fragrance I'm talking about is Freedom Musk Santal 34. Fairly new here. This is, it's got floral notes, but it's got sandalwood and musk as well. So it's super creamy against the floral notes. This is good. I think they do great musks. I think the ones that really stand out for me are not the super feminine ones. Makes sense. But I'm all over their musk fragrance. It's so, so good. This is actually pretty good too. This is almost like having the musk and the sandalwood fragrances together. And the notes breakdown is on the back. It says sweet freesia, pink pepper, soft lily, orange blossom, candied amber, musk, and sandalwood. I still prefer the other sandalwood, I mean the other musk, but this is definitely one to wear. This is acting much more floral than the other musk for sure, because there's a lot of floral notes here. So that is Freedom Musk Santal 34 by KLE. Up next, we've got two fragrances that were in the mystery box. So we have Oudgasm Chocolate Oud 11, which I really enjoy. This was featured in the mystery box recently, along with the other one that's coming right after this. This is super gourmand, with a Western oud added to it. It's so yummy. So there's probably, what now? How many ouds they've done? 4 or 5 plus 2 more. There's a lot of ouds that they've done. This is super delicious though. I mean, it's a gourmand oud and it's a Western oud, so it's nothing funky animalic. And the gourmand notes kind of tone down any kind of funk that the Western oud has in it. Finally, the last one, it's Oudgasm Milky Musk Oud 30. So this has silver oud, it says. So silver oud, white musk, suede santal, incense, strawberry, cream, pink pepper. This one is not as exciting as the previous one, but I think I like it. It's got a very laundry clean effect happening. Musk Santal Oud. Milky Musk Oud, but also with sandalwood. So what are your thoughts on the 4 KLE fragrances? Probably the brand launched a few more, which I'm not 100% sure, but I wanted to highlight at least these 4 because these definitely came out in 2025. But let me know which of the 4 sounds the best to you. I think they're pretty solid offerings. I like them. The most feminine to me is the Fleur Majesty Rose Royale 31. But the other ones do have more of a unisex to masculine leaning to them. All right, next, going to the house of Lumari. First of which is Amber Malatia. This is created by Julianne Rascanet. Let me know if you've gotten your nose on this. If you're in the USA and you're looking for this brand, they're sold at ZGO Perfumery. I have them all tagged here. As much of these fragrances I have tagged, you can pick these up if you want directly from the tags that I have here. But this is a super fruity with apricot take on amber. There's a kind of a tart effect happening here as well with the apricots. So it's like a sweet tart amber with the fruits. This is not any, like, it's amber, but it doesn't act like ambers that you might be familiar with, like Grand Soir or Ambre Perso or Ambre Sultan and things like that. I think the apricots adds a complete different variety of amber with the overdose of the fruits. Anyway, that is Amber Malatia from the house of Lumari. Up next, we've got Ayomak, also from Lumari. Launched in the summer, and then Amber Malatia launched in the autumn. This is a really crisp freshie with lots of aromatics and spices. It's got a metallic crispness. It's very aromatic and spicy and also very citrusy. And I feel like this has like juniper type notes, so aromatic and spicy. So it's a very fresh fragrance. There's an ice cold quality about it, and that crispness, it's metallic and sharp too. So it creates this kind of an ice cold effect. So that is created by Christian Provenzano, I believe. So this is Iomac from the house of Lumari. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Up next, Louis Vuitton. So the only 3 Louis Vuitton fragrances I bought this year are the 3 that were released exclusively for China that I brought back while I was in China. I bought all 3. My favorite is Rain Tea, and I hear these are coming out here in the States like sometime early next year. This is Rain Tea, my favorite of the 3. It's a very pretty tea-focused fragrance. And it's a given that it's Jacques Cavalier who did the white tea or thé blanc for Bulgari. And he's done a ton of men's fragrances for Bulgari. Of course, Tigar, which I just mentioned. So it has a signature. And it's got a very light, ethereal, freshy. Very smooth and cozy and aromatic. So it's got sweetness. It's not anything substantial. It has his like watery DNA that runs across all the Louis Vuitton fragrances. But that I fell in love with that one. It's pretty. It's a very pretty fragrance. There's a slight rosiness in there as well, I should say. But the color of the bottles are really gorgeous. This is Rain Tea. Then we've got Moon Tail and also Ink Mark. If you want to hear more about these 2 and a little more about Rain Tea, there's a video on the channel about these 3 fragrances. You can go find out more. Up next, we've got Mancera's Explicit Vanilla, which was recently featured in the mystery box as well. I hope you guys got your mystery box. I know a lot of people were asking. We do have some odds and ends boxes, but just keep in mind, those are created with fragrance samples that were featured in previous mystery boxes. There are currently 20 sample box odds and ends boxes in the store, like plenty of them that the fulfillment team put together. If you guys are interested in picking up samples, you might get a sample of Explicit Vanilla, or you might not, so can't guarantee it. But Explicit Vanilla, or I should also say, you might get some samples of some of the ones that I've spoken about that were featured in previous mystery boxes. This is actually a simplistic, close to the skin vanilla, but to me also, this layers really well with Amore Cafe from the same brand. It kind of adds more of a vanillic consistency to Amore Cafe. So, but to me, this is very close to the skin. It's a very simplistic, minimalistic take on vanilla. It's super creamy and velvety, syrupy, but also behind there's like dustings of woods. So there's a woody touch back there, but still very close to the skin. It's not super loud, super cozy. It's for people that don't want a lot of projection, because this doesn't have that. At least to me, it doesn't. It doesn't smell like it on the strip. It doesn't have it on skin. So it's very close to the skin. Somebody has to get really close to you to smell this fragrance. But it's simplistic that way, and also makes for a layering tool. And for me, this layers really, really awesomely with Amore Cafe. So that's Explicit Vanilla from Mancera that was recently featured in the latest mystery box. And as I said, we do have some in the store, but not mystery boxes, odds and end boxes. Odds and ends boxes. And just keep in mind, if you've bought the mystery boxes and you don't want repeats, don't get the odds and ends boxes. Up next, going to the house of Matier Premier. It's Vanilla Powder Extrait. What do you guys think of this one? Are you a fan of vanilla powder? I mentioned it earlier. I didn't end up loving vanilla powder right off the bat. It grew on me. I really enjoy it now. But they've taken that, it's a very dusty, dry vanilla, the vanilla powder. Here you can actually experience this more sticky, syrupy qualities of amber in the end, I think that's what's really different. It adds a spicy layer to it and a more sticky, ambery, resinous experience, but mostly it's a very similar fragrance, just made into an extract form, a super concentrated form. And whereas it's related, it's connected to the original, but a bit different than the original because it is a different concentration, which is something I learned when we were working on 54 by Juicebox. I mean, when you change the concentrations of fragrances, let's say we were originally going with 20% concentration for Juicebox 54, and then we decided to go to 22. The smell went different. Like things came out that the original concentration didn't have. So that's what's going on here. So yeah, I like both actually. Now that I love vanilla powder, I really love the extract as well. So that is vanilla powder from Matier Premier. All right, next, it's leather from Memo. So Memo Paris has a leather collection. I actually saw this at, was it Selfridges or was it at Harrods? I think it was Selfridges while I was there earlier this year, and had to buy it because it's a 30 ml extract. They did lie to me and tell me it's a limited edition, but I don't think it is. But it's also just a leather, and it's not simplistic, but it doesn't have other things going with it, like Parisian leather or French leather is rosy. I think Italian leather is green. African leather is super spicy. This doesn't have anything with it, so I think this could be a great booster for those fragrances. You just intensify the leather with it or wear it on its own for a bit more simplistic, but it's pretty potent actually. This is an extrait de parfum, as you can see right there. It's extraits Cardinaux is the collection. Wait, no, this is not an extrait. This is an eau de parfum. I've gotten tricked on this one, damn it. Look at that, it says eau de parfum. All along, I thought this was an extrait de parfum, so go figure. But why do I have it as a 30 ml? So I gotta do some research on this. This must be wrong labeled. That is weird. So sadly, it's a bit trickery. I went and grabbed the box for this. So on the bottom, it says extraits Cardinaux, but under it, it does say eau de parfum. So either I didn't pay attention or the associate kind of tricked me, because I did ask a lot of questions and I was told this is a limited edition. Later, I found out it wasn't. But either way, it's still a really awesome scent. It does act like an extrait. So that is leather from the house of Memo Paris. But sadly, the brand is, I don't know, nowhere to be found here in the States anymore. I don't know what's going on with the brand, but that release was really awesome. But sadly, I haven't kept up with any of their more recent releases. And if they were around more, I would kind of dig into their releases more. So let's move on to the next fragrance. Two fragrances from the house of Mind Games. We've got Kingside. Kingside is tonka beans and Peru balsam. This is super syrupy, nutty, and ambery, and balsamic. It's so delicious. This one is super delicious, honestly. The tonka and Peru balsam together, match made in heaven. Super creamy, smooth, slightly nutty. It's very velvety smooth, and of course sweet and ambery. Super powdery, and also nutty. That's a yum. Kingside is a yum. Let me know if you've discovered this. I think we featured this in one of our very small run mystery boxes. We had only like 200 boxes. And that one just went away like in 5 hours or 4 hours or something. I think it was 250 boxes we did of that. But I really love this Kingside. I don't know if I really enjoy... Whoops, I brought the wrong bottle. Hold on. I had grabbed the wrong bottle, but the next one is Queenside. So it was Queenside and Kingside. Kingside and Queenside. All right, so let's look at Queenside, which says it's cassis and geranium. Cassis is the black currant. Not as exciting as Kingside. It's fruity. This is more like a Chypre style. Yeah, it's a fruity Chypre, I think. It smells like it. There's got to be like mossy notes and fruit, patchouli and things like that in here as well. It's good. I prefer the other one. The geranium is giving it a rosy effect. It's also quite, herbal and aromatic. So that's Queenside from Mind Games. So here is where I'm going to pause the video and remove all the fragrances and bring more. So here I go. All right, guys, second batch of fragrances. But honestly, the first batch was probably around 65. And now we have the remainder of the fragrances. So the camera might have shifted a little bit, so just be warned, but nothing to complain about. But also, I do want to say I forgot one fragrance towards the end, which should have been mentioned or discussed a few fragrances ago. But it's the Marc-Antoine Barrois Aldebaran fragrance. The super polarizing release. Have you enjoyed this one, or is it one that you don't enjoy? Let me know, add a comment below. So I actually got to experience this fragrance before the launch. So September of 2024, when I visited the brand in the south of France where they do the show TFWA. At that time, I thought, I think the tuberose in this is quite gorgeous, but what they have added to it really contrasts and stands out. So it's a green tuberose, but with creamy facets, for sure. And there's a smoky, chili pepper, leathery darkness that cuts through the tuberose. And I've been mentioning a lot lately, fragrances that feature tuberose like Fracas, I have been hating. I don't know what has happened to my nose. Here, the tuberose is super gorgeous, but what Quentin Biche has added to it doesn't make me want to wear it. Does that happen to you guys? So I think this is probably the most polarizing fragrance in the whole entire Marc-Antoine Barrois collection of fragrances. But let me ask you this also. Since you first tested it out and you came back to it, maybe you bought it, you never, returned your fragrance, maybe you never sold it, or I don't know, you just kept it. Months later, did you come back to it and enjoy it? Because now it's not as bad as before. So does the nose need some time to learn certain smells? Is that what's going on? I mean, it's not like one of my all-time favorite fragrances. In fact, it's not something I would reach for much, if at all. But the reaction is not as dramatic. Or is it because I've already reacted and I've gotten used to it and it doesn't bother me as much? Let me know if that's something that has happened to you with fragrances. Because Aldebaran was challenging, but not so much now. But still, it's not something that I crave. I think my favorite from the house is still Ganymede, along with the very first one, B683. But this, it's not for me. Do add a comment and let me know. So that was, I should have discussed that right after the Mancera Explicit Vanilla, but I forgot. So let's move on to the next fragrance. So next, Montal's Oud Saparot. So this was actually sent to feature in a mystery box. Not this last one, but the previous one. Sometimes I don't get to smell fragrances in advance that get featured in mystery box because mystery box is not fragrances that I decide to feature in the kit. Like the regular Scent Club kits are ones that I really love. But the mystery boxes are whatever is launching new. So that's the difference between the two. This is not one of my favorite Montal fragrances, sadly. I kind of like the the juiciness of the pineapple. In fact, pineapple is one of my favorite fruits. I absolutely love pineapples, to eat them. In fact, one hotel I was staying at recently, I can't remember where it was. I think it was in one of the hotels in China. They had a really nice bowl of pineapple. I would go back every morning and eat pineapple for breakfast because I love that stuff. It's so delicious. I like the pineapple in oud saparat, but I think everything else is just not working with it. What are your thoughts? Does it work for you? I like the frosted kind of banana yellow colored bottle, but sadly it's not one of my favorite fragrances. It's fine. I don't hate it. I'm not challenged by it like I was with Aldebaran. This one, just something about it doesn't come together perfectly. But either way, let me know your thoughts if you got the mystery box 2 mystery boxes ago, if you enjoy oud saparat from Montal. Let's move on to Nishane next. We've got Meant to Be Seen. Have you guys gotten your nose on this? This is definitely a different Nishane. This is also created by Jordi Fernandez, the hot new perfumer. And he's behind Quentin Biche over at Givaudan. So I really like this kind of a fragrance. It's super musky, powdery iris, dusty, sexy, super awesome. Really love the way it smells. But I don't think this is something a lot of people like. If you like fragrances like Fleur de Peau from Diptyque, you should really enjoy this one. It's just a really airy but fluffy. There's a creaminess for sure also. The Orris has that creaminess, the butteriness, but it's acting super ethereal and flowy. In fact, I love it. I love this fragrance. It's so awesome. Is it my top 5 or top 10? This is definitely a top 10 fragrance from Nishane. Not a top 5. I have to decide. But what are your thoughts on Meant to Be Seen? Do let me know. Add a comment below. Is it a Nishane that you like? All right, so we've got 2 of the exclusive fragrances from Nishane. The exclusive for Selfridges and the exclusive for Harrods. Both of them are also created by Jordi Fernandez. In fact, the perfumer with the most fragrances in today's video of 100 fragrances is Jordi Fernandez. So the first fragrance part of the Nishane's exclusive fragrances is Oudis Cerasis. And this one and the next one, well, I've gotten my nose on these, but I haven't worn them, so I'm going to talk to you about them real quickly. So this is a fruity take on oud. It's a fruity take on it, but it's not extremely fruity. It's super spicy. It's a Western oud, not animalic, dry. There's a syrupy consistency contrasted against the oud. But it's a very simplistic take on, and I think it's an easy to wear kind of a oud. It's not super challenging. It's a lot of woods rather than oud. It's a lot of spices and that sweet, sticky fruitiness that's in here. So that is Oudis Cerasis by Nishane. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. And up next is Oudis Lux Solis. This is the Harrods exclusive. I think this is the second Harrods exclusive that Nishane has done. They had another one in a green bottle, more like this, in a green bottle, probably like 3 years ago. So I like Oudis Lux Solis more than Oudis Cerasis or Cerasis. This one's not as dry. It's a lot more ambery. Still spicy. I think they're kind of connected. Seems like they were created at the same time. There's definitely something relative about both of them. But I'm liking the stickiness and the more ambery qualities of Lux Solus over Cerasis. I like Lux Solus a lot more. Oh, in fact, I'm going to try this on right now since I don't have much on except for what's landed on my skin as of the shooting of this video. Ooh, that's nice. There's a slight fruitiness. Slight. Ooh, I like that. There's a creamy consistency here for sure. Okay, I'm going to try the Udis Cerasis, I should say, on the other side. There's a spice in Udis Cerasis that I'm not really digging as much. But Lux Solus is smooth, juicy, pulpy, creamy. Yeah, I think between the two, Lux Solus. Which one do you prefer? Have you guys gotten your nose on these new Nishane fragrances? Do let me know. Add a comment below. Let's move on to Ormond Jane and two fragrances from the house. First of which is Vetiveria. This was also a fragrance we featured in the mystery box. Not the last one we just dropped earlier this month, but the one we did August, I believe, late August. I think it dropped the Labor Day weekend, or I should say like September. Vetiveria is this aromatic, spicy take on vetiver. It's got lime. It's got Timur pepper or Timut pepper. So it's quite peppery, spicy. And of course, it's citrusy as well. But you know what? It has a very cold, crisp, metallic quality to it. So if you caught my video with Linda of Ormond Jane, she mentioned the launch of this. I think it's a redo. I can't remember now. I think they had another fragrance called Zizan. I don't think it's available anymore. It's discontinued. This is kind of like the evolution of that fragrance. It's very fresh, very, very crisp, super spicy, and of course earthy. But the pepperiness is super strong on this. So that's Vetiveria from the house of Ormond Jane. And then we've got Vanilla Mistral. I did a video, I might have done a video on this fragrance. You know, they have now two vanilla fragrances, Vanille des Afriques Intensivo, and then this is also a vanilla. This one's okay. I prefer the other one. This is more of a figgy vanilla. It's the fig fruit. Mixed together, comes off very dry, fruity, dusty, sweet, woody. No greenness here. I don't hate it. I prefer Vanille des Afriques Intensivo. Super sexy and powdery. This one's good. I wouldn't call this a wow. I like it, but I would reach for the other one more. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about Vanilla Mistral from Ormond Jane? I believe this was launched as an exclusive to Neiman Marcus, from what I remember Linda telling me, but I can't 100% be sure about that. Next, it's from Orto Parisi. It's Risveglium. Look at the eye in there. Blue eye. So they don't publish the notes, right? This is super amber woody. It's also very pulpy, juicy, and there's the idea of cannabis's bitter greenness. So it's a lot of grapefruit in here. It's acting like grapefruit. So if you call this a freshie, which the amber woody notes might not come off like that, but the fact that it has a lot of citruses, you can wear it as a freshie with that big amber heavy base. I think it's a very potent freshie if you put it in that category. But I think more than like your traditional amber, this is more woody because it's a lot of amber woods. It's molecules. And it has the DNA of Orto Parisi. Like Mega Mare has a similar base to this. But I think people might be turned off by that cannabis-like effect in here. What are your thoughts on Risvelium? Let me know. Add a comment below. All right, this next one, super delicious gourmand. It's Tonka Latte from the house of Parfums Dusita. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. Tonka Latte is basically tonka beans and a cafe latte. But in this case, I think it's more about the latte effect with the nutty bitterness of the tonka with almonds. Not so much coffee here. It's a super gourmand, super delicious, very, very cozy, sweet, and honeyed as well. I think that Dusita had a very... I think it was the line, her fragrances seemed a bit more on the artistic side. Not super hyped. I mean, I know she did some great florals. Fleur de Lalita is an awesome green floral fragrance, one of my favorites from the house. She's got some other ones that are really great. Like Isara is a really great honeyed fougere. And a few others that I really like. But this one, I think, is the very mass-appealing fragrance from the house. And since gourmands are super, super popular, people tend to really click with fragrances like this. You know, lately I've been getting a lot of comments about how people hate gourmands and they wish the gourmand trend would die. A lot of people wishing that fragrances like from the 80s and 70s would come back. And I'm just wondering, they haven't come back yet. Will those fragrances that we had in the 70s and 80s, maybe even the 90s, ever come back? What are your thoughts? Add a comment below. Let us find out if you think the fragrances of the 70s and 80s would ever make a comeback. I mean, looking at releases, there are some fragrances every once in a while that launch that might, you know, pay tribute to those eras or have similarities to fragrances from those decades. But I don't think where people are now would appreciate fragrances from what we had in the 70s and 80s. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love fragrances from the 70s and 80s. I love classic fragrances. But I also like modern fragrances. And I have adapted to what the fragrances are now. If it's a gourmand trend, it's going to be a gourmand trend. If people are buying it and buying it a lot, do you think the brands are ever going to go back to what doesn't sell? Because obviously the fragrances of the 70s, 80s do not sell now. Another comment that came in recently mentioned about by Kilian's Angel Share on the Rocks. I said it's not my favorite in the review. In fact, I mentioned it here in this video as well. And then somebody left a really nasty comment about how it's the best version of the three and not everybody likes gourmands. Okay, we get it. Not everybody likes gourmands, but it's the biggest seller of the house, the original Angel Share. So what does that tell you? Why does Kilian keep doing gourmands? Because that's what sells. And that's basically what the house is known for. A lot of boozy fragrances and a lot of gourmands. But anyway, I think Tonka Latte is super delicious if you haven't got your nose on it. I do have a video with Pisara, and she's talking about it. I shot with her in Exxon's earlier this year, so check that video out and get your nose on Tonka Latte because it's super delicious. All right, next we've got 4 fragrances from the House of Fleur. Yeah, I did have some brands that had actually that many fragrances, 4, and I capped at 4, as I said. So the first fragrance is Afterglow. It's a fairly new one, so going to be my first time checking it out here. And the 3 other fragrances that I'm going to talk to you about, I recently discussed in a video I did of the house on the road from the small bottles. So is Afterglow fruity? It's like a fruity apple or something appley juicy. And also flowers for sure. I think the brand has also recently been sold or bought. So a lot of these niche houses are getting purchased. Yeah, this is just super juicy, fruity. I think there's some light spices, maybe some woods, and for sure flowers. So that's Afterglow. I think this is the latest release from the brand. Fleur Afterglow. This is my favorite from the house. In fact, it's my favorite cherry fragrance, Cherry Stem. It's not a cherry fragrance that smells like cherry, lost cherry. Also, the ruby fragrance from Kajal, even though that didn't remind me of lost cherry, it has that kind of cough syrupy cherry smell to it. This is like super juicy tart cherries. I don't know if I've ever told you, I love eating dried cherries. It's one of my favorite. Well, I love cherries in general, but I like them on the tart side. And I get these little bags of tart cherries from Trader Joe's. Those are some of my favorite snacks. So I'm a big cherry lover. I just don't like it in fragrances when they're like super lost cherry-like. This one to me is tart, super fruity, a bit dark. They mentioned lacquered woods, yes. And also patchouli in the base, somewhat sheeper-like. I think it's a really great fragrance. The only thing I wish from this is if it was a bit more beastly, a bit more beefier. Maybe they'll launch an extract. They've never launched extract, so I take it that their new company might do that. But if they had that in an extract form, super hefty, I would really love it. But I think the fragrance itself is really, really lovely. I love that. It's a great fruity fragrance, but it doesn't come off girly to me either, so that's a good thing. So that's Cherry Stem from Fleur. Let me know if you've gotten your nose on that. Up next, it's Golden Rule. I don't know why. I mentioned this in the video I shot. I keep thinking of Golden Hour when I think of this fragrance. It's called Golden Rule, not Golden Hour. So this is kind of a floral, slightly fruity, woody, ambery experience. It's almost like there's a spiciness there, but it's spices from the floral notes. I feel like it's either magnolia or something somewhat like that. There's a slight soapiness from the flowers. I like this one. Still, my favorite is Cherry Stem. And then the following one, I like it too, but I don't love it. Like, I don't love this one. I like it more than the last one. But for me, out of the 4, it's Cherry Stem. But this one's good. It's almost like a floral amber. Golden Rule. Let me know if you're a fan of that. Up next, it's Rose Whip, the last Fleur fragrance. I mean, I don't hate this, but it reminds me of a lot of other rose fragrances. That's the bummer part about it. It's like I've smelled this before. I think what some of these brands should do is hire people like me to tell them, don't do that, it's already been done. Do that, that's something I've never smelled before. Because I get my nose on so much. For example, here we've got 100 fragrances from 2025. So this one, yeah, it's a rose. I mean, I'm not saying it's identical to something else I've smelled, but I've smelled something like this. So then it comes off not so original. I mean, I don't have anything like this, or maybe I do, I just don't remember it, but it's not something that I crave for all the time. It's not like a wow fragrance for me. But, you know, it's a rose, kind of sweet. There's a whipped creamy fluffiness about it, and there's spiciness as well. Yeah, it's called Rose Whip, duh. That's why I'm getting that kind of fluffy, almost like doughy creaminess. So that's Rose Whip from Fleur. Okay, next up we've got Room 1015's Electric Wood Extrait de Parfum. This was the latest release from the house. They launched 3 fragrances this year. I actually went to a party of Room 1015's in the south of France when TFWA was happening. It was one of the most unique parties that I've been to as far as the fragrance goes for the launch of this. And I think it was also a party for their 10th year anniversary. And a really cool experience. It was more like a Western bar kind of rockabilly, rock and roll, metal jukebox thing, I should say, not juice box thing. So Electric Wood is okay, I wouldn't say it's a flanker of the original Electric Wood. This is Electric Wood Extrait. So the original was done by another perfumer duo, but that got discontinued. And then the brand has been working with Jerome de Marino, and they asked him to do an extract version of Electric Wood, and I think they did an amazing job with it. I didn't care for the original Electric Wood, even though it was created by 2 of my favorite perfumers. I felt like it was super boring. Just straightforward woody fragrance. This, on the other hand, still woods, but there is something sweet and vanillic happening with it that it makes it a lot more exciting. It's like sweetened woods with cacao dusting and creamy nuances, syrupy, molassesy touches. So yeah, they did a good job with it. It's Jerome de Marino, who I first learned of this perfumer for Nuit Nomade's Jardin de Misfa. I think it's a masterpiece of a fragrance. And I think Room 1015 started using the perfumer. They've created Wave Child with Jerome de Marino, Jasmine Freak, LOVE-O-MATIC, which I have Jasmine Freak and LOVE-O-MATIC here. But they did a Wave Child with Jerome de Marino as well. And Jerome de Marino's Wave Child, we still have some samples in this in our scent club. So if you guys haven't sampled Wave Child yet, check that out. But yeah, Electric Wood Extrait de Parfum. I'm also getting a slight bit of coffee-like effect as well. So it's taking woods into a gourmand direction, but it's not super gourmand. Like, the woods are overpowering still, but they have all these like gourmand nuances coming in. So that's Electric Wood in the Extrait de Parfum concentration. The Eau de Parfum, like I said, is discontinued. And then next we've got Jasmine Freak. Is a super freak. So Jasmine Freak, I don't know. Jasmine can be a very polarizing note for some people, especially if it goes indolic, which generally it tends to go. This is given the fruity treatment. I think when I smell this one, I mean, jasmine is known for growing in warm climates, also tropical. There's a very tropical quality and a hot, humid quality about this. It acts like that. There's a warmth, and not intentionally with warm notes, just kind of coming off like humid, Like the jasmine in this seems like it's been baking under the sun, getting really, really hot, meshed with like some fresh fruits. So there's a bit of contrast there. Yeah, I think it's a fun fragrance. It's not super girly. Jasmine is, I think, more of a mature flower, or at least comes off mature to me. It doesn't come off girly. But of course, they can make anything with flowers. It doesn't necessarily have to be mature. But for me, as a smell, I think it's more of a mature smell rather than a young smell. But I think it here with Jasmine Freak, they've given it a nice balance of young and old together. So I think it should appeal to a lot more people rather than somebody that's really old or somebody that's really young. So that's Jasmine Freak, because it's super freak. And then we've got LOVE-O-MATIC. So I haven't spoken about this one much yet, but I enjoy this because it's super clean and soapy. Once again, it's created by Jerome de Marino. Yeah, it's super clean and soapy and also musky. And I think the inspiration is a laundromat. But what I like about it, it's just so super clean. Clean and musky. I think there might be some fruity or floral touches under there, but not by a lot. It's mostly that kind of laundry freshness, soapy cleanness, and powdery muskiness. This might come off a bit boring to some people because it's there's not a lot going on with it. They're kind of like one-dimensional ingredients or notes that are here. Nothing is really super jumping out. But which is the case with clean fragrances, musky fragrances, soapy fragrances. I love the name though, don't you think? LOVE-O-MATIC. All right, so those are the fragrances from Room 1015. There was 3 of them. Then we've got 2 fragrances from Sospiro. I know they launched more than 2, but I have Cavatina. Doesn't Parfums Dusita have a fragrance called Cavatina? So I'm not super familiar with this collection. Somebody just wrote a comment recently. If it's you, let me know. Let me know what the fragrance is. They wrote and said, you have to get that one fragrance from this. It's so good and it's slept on. Nobody's talking about it. I don't remember what it is, sadly. But for me, this is super powdery and typical fruitiness of the brand, but not super exciting, unfortunately. There's a floral cleanness about this as well. I think there's probably either like something magnolia-like or lily of the valley, which is lending slight greenness and soapy cleanness. As it's progressing, I think the fruitiness is also progressing, but it's super powdery. Yeah, I haven't really clicked with this line. Cavatina. So this is a 75 ml bottle, whereas the rest of the collection is 100 ml. Yeah, there must be a meaning behind that fragrance, and I don't know what it is, but I prefer the other fragrances more. So Il Padrino is another fragrance that launched in 2025. And the latest, I forgot the name of the latest. It comes in the pink bottle. I haven't got my nose on that one, obviously. But Il Padrino is the latest. It's another fruity fragrance, but very leathery and dark and ambery. It's good, but for me, it's still Dolce Melodia, Vibrato, Dolce Sonata. Those are the top fragrances for me from the brand. Maraschino maybe. But this is good. It's a top 5, maybe a top 7. But not as exciting as Dolce Melodia. For me, Dolce Melodia is so awesome. It was awesome enough to feature in a Scent Club kit. I mean, I would feature this too, but it's not as exciting for me as Dolce Melodia. Even Dolce Sonata. Dolce Sonata is also kind of polarizing because it is fruity once again, but it has that kind of dirty, smoky leather that appears throughout the fragrance. And that kind of is a turnoff for some people. Here, it's not as exciting. No, I don't think I would feature this in a Scent Club kit. Not as exciting. But, you know, it's still wearable. What are your thoughts on Il Padrino? Let me know. Add a comment below. That's from the house of Sospiro. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting my nose on the one in the pink bottle. What was the name? If you remember, do add a comment in the comment section so I can find out. Okay, next up, we're going to the house of Two, THOO, and they had 2 fragrances launched in... Well, actually, they had more than 2. I only have 2. I only have 2 of their fragrances. So, L'Explicit and Du Ennui. So, both of which were featured in mystery boxes. L'Explicit in the previous, and Du Ennui in the current mystery box. So let's talk about Du Ennui first. I remember this had like a jam note and butter note. Yeah. So one of my favorite things in the mornings is to eat. Well, I don't eat it, but I love it. It's like a really soft kind of buttery bread with butter spread on it. And honey, mostly, but sometimes I like fruity jams, but like really high-end ones. This kind of reminds me of that. So it's a buttery, creamy, fruity, jammy gourmand. And they do quite a few gourmands, I think. I mean, they started out as the house of oud, but I think they've since dropped that because I don't think they're launching much of oud fragrances. Now it's, I think, just 2. THOO. Yeah, if you like the idea of breakfast, like, what are those? Butter biscuits? I used to get them all the time from Whole Foods. Oh my God, they were so good. They were fluffy, kind of, inside was like softer, outside was a bit harder, and you just slice it in half and spread butter on it. And, you know, put jam or honey, because honey was my favorite, but sometimes I like fruity jams, especially like if they're really good quality. And I love eating those. And this just totally takes me back to that. Almost like going to a high tea or tea service in London somewhere, and then that's like a little buttermilk biscuit is there, and you've got the butter or some kind of a cream. Decadent, delicious yumminess. Yeah, that's what Du Ennui reminds me of. So let me know if you got that in the latest mystery box. What are your thoughts? Do you get the butter? Do you get that experience that I do? And then the next 2 fragrance is L'Explicit. I should show you. It's got a banana on it. So obviously, this features banana. Do you guys like fragrances with banana? Let me know. They're doing more gourmands. The House of Gourmand. THOG, right? No? Yeah, banana. So, my mom, I grew up in a really great cooking family. My mom made the best foods, desserts, and delicious Lebanese food. And recently she started making banana bread. And I love banana bread. This reminds me of banana bread. I mean, sometimes I get it from the coffee shop with coffee. I mean, this is like banana bread steaming out of the oven, and you sliced into it just as it's completely cooled off, but there's a little bit of steam left there. And, you know, you've got spices in there with the bananas, the dough, and the bread. That's what it reminds me of. Super delicious. There's a slight smokiness in there as well, but really, really slight. if you like banana bread, you want to wear banana bread, this is it. Explicit from the house of Two. See, it says right there, THOO. All right, so those are the two fragrances from Two. I know they've launched more than Two. That's all I have. I have two from Two today in this video. So let's move on to Tom Ford. We're only talking about the signature, not the signature line, but the private blend collection fragrances. So just to reiterate, I didn't feature anything from signature line here. There was a separate video of men's designer fragrances already shot. This is all luxury, niche and luxury designer, meaning the more upper end designer fragrances like the private blends and the privé collections and so on. We featured Balmain. We also had Jill Sander. And I'm probably forgetting other designers. Balenciaga we had. Anything else? Did I have Gucci? I think that's it all for the designers today. And now the last no, not the last designer. Second to the last designer is Tom Ford. And we're starting off with Black Orchid Reserve. Really awesome take on the original Black Orchid. Super luxury. It's been luxuriated or luxurified. I think if you like the Parfum, you're really going to love this. I mean, the Parfum had already been elevated, but now it's even more elevated. I don't remember when did the original Tom Ford Black Orchid come out in 2005 or 2006? I just spoke about it in one of my deep dives. I think it's 2006. So this is just before the 10-year anniversary, but it's super awesome. So they have the black truffles, which are under the ground, the stuff that the dogs find, the super expensive. They also have patchouli here. They have the orchid. They have spices. It does come off a bit chocolatey, but it doesn't smell like chocolate. It's more like the truffles. So dark. But this is super awesome. I think it's lacking the plumminess that the Parfum had, but I think they've taken the original and just amplified it and luxuriated it, I guess, or luxurified it. Really awesome. So for me, this is one of the best from the private blend collection. I think they launched 5, and they launched F Fabulous Parfum as well, which I did not buy. It was super expensive, and I missed out on some deals. Like there was a 15% off at Neiman's I should have taken advantage of. There was 15% off at Macy's I should have taken advantage of. I didn't, and I forgot, and I wanted to have it here for this video. And I would have left off one of the fragrances that I'm going to talk about today. But the next two are sort of, one I don't care for, one I don't like as much, one I don't like at all. And then the last one I enjoy most. But I think out of the 4 that I'm talking about today, the Black Orchid Reserve is super awesome. Super sexy as well. So that is it right there. Okay, next, it's Fig Erotique. Did you guys end up enjoying this one? Have you gotten your nose on it yet? Fig Erotique is not one of the best Tom Fords. I think every time I smell it, I end up liking it a little bit more. But I don't hate it as much as I hate Rose Exposed, which I'm going to talk about last. But I don't love it that much either. I think this is more of a green plus fruitiness of the figs. Yeah, this one's actually probably going to be pretty polarizing. I love figs in fragrances generally. This also has that strange, not strange, I should say. I shouldn't say strange, I should say. I'm sorry. It's got that interesting sugar note that I forgot the name. I think it's a Brazilian sugar. It's a dark sugar. I think that's also featured here, so it's kind of come off sweet from that. But I wanted something a little bit more. I don't hate it though. Oud Voyager, I like a lot actually. And actually, it's interesting that they don't use any rose, and there's certainly a rosiness here. And that rosiness is coming from peony. And I think it also has geranium. So it's another Western oud here. Tom Ford has launched quite a few over the years. Oud Fleur was another one that they had, which I have a bottle. This is not like Oud Fleur. The oud in this is kind of like oud wood. It's also quite spicy and rosy, but again, there's no rose here. But I like this one quite a bit. It's definitely very wearable and enjoyable. So that is Oud Voyager from Tom Ford. Let me know if you guys got your nose on F Fabulous Parfum. Do you guys like it? You know, I got my nose on it. I tested it several times at Neiman Marcus. I do enjoy it more than the original, but I felt the price tag was too high. I mean, there's a lot of expensive fragrances out there, but that one was way too much. Last but not least from Tom Ford, we've got Rose Exposed. What a dud this one is. I don't care for this one at all. It's basically a redo of Rose de Russie. I think they should have just left it in the grave. If you like barbecued roses, then you might like this. So this is part of the trio of rose cities, I should say. So they had Rose de Russie, Rose d'Amalfi, Rose de Chine. Rose de Russie got discontinued for obvious reasons. But Rose de Chine and Rose d'Amalfi are still selling. My favorite was Rose d'Amalfi. I like that because it's heliotrope with rose. So heliotrope is very powdery and lightly almondy too. So I like that one. And the Rose de Chine was good too. But this one, it's kind of a green rose, super powdery, dark and smoky, leathery. But it comes off charred. So barbecued kind of smelling. So that's Rose Exposed, my least favorite of the four Tom Fords I'm talking about here. Are you a fan of this one? Let me know. Why do you like it? If you don't like it, why do you hate it? Also, let me know what it is about Figuerotique you love or like, and what is it about it that you hate or you despise. Okay, next up, I'm going to talk to you about one of my all-time favorite fragrances of this year. I absolutely love this fragrance. It's super, super delicious. This is Trudon's 45 Degrees. My God, it's good. Super, super yum. So if you guys don't know Trudon is a candle maker. They have some of the most luxurious candles. They got into the world of fragrances, I don't know, 10 years ago almost, maybe like 8. I have a video on some of their fragrances on the channel. I haven't fully reviewed this one yet, but oh my God, this is so yum. This is super delicious. I think I'm gonna make that my New Year's Day fragrance. So once again, it's vanilla, but there's a little bit of a reminder of something like IMPADIA or Guidance in here, but not so much. It's a super creamy, velvety, smooth vanilla. Sweet, slightly honeyed, slightly chocolatey, but oh my God, it's good. In fact, this might be my favorite fragrance of the year. It's so damn delicious. If you haven't gotten your nose on this, please do. It's super yum. Trudon's 45 Degrees. Oh my God. It's also super long lasting. It makes for such an awesome release. It's perfect in the cold too. I love that. I really, really love that. 45 Degrees from Trudon. Then we've got a fragrance from the house of Nuit Nomade. This is Chemin de Monde. This is in our latest Scent Club kit, guys. Have you gotten your latest kit yet? Please do. This comes with Maître Parfumeur Gantier's Parfum de Habit and Ethereal Soul from Reinvented. But this is, it's almonds. Amande is almonds in French. But this is like a marzipan-y almond bitterness mixed in with wheat dough. Like a really fragrant dough that you can smell the wheat from. Because you can smell the wheat here. It's kind of bready, doughy wheat. But it's delicious. Definitely one of my favorites of the year as well. I love that. Good enough to be featured in a Scent Club kit. It's super delicious, guys. If you haven't tried Chemin de Monde, please do. This is also an extrait de parfum. And this is also a parfum concentration of 45 degrees by Trudon. But yeah, both of those back to back, super awesome. So also going back to the Tom Ford Black Orchid Reserve. This is also a parfum concentration. Whereas the original is eau de parfum. They also had an eau de toilette. They had the parfum in the gold bottle. And now they have the Reserve as a parfum as well. All right, next up, we've got Van Cleef & Arpels Moonlight Cherry. So this is continuing the Moonlight series from Van Cleef & Arpels. Moonlight Patchouli, which also got a parfum. Then we had Moonlight Rose. Did we have Moonlight Rose? And then, of course, now we have Moonlight Cherry. We're almost finished, guys. So this is another kind of lacquered, shiny, glossy, boozy cherry that is in that neighborhood of lost cherry-like cherry fragrances. Not so almondy, but there are traces of almonds in there. It's pretty decent. I like that more than the Ruby from Kajal. But this one does remind me a lot of Lost Cherry for sure. Different. It's the cherry that they use in this that reminds me of it. Otherwise, the fragrance is different. My favorite is still Moonlight Patchouli, and the parfum is so super luxurious and intense. I think the other one is Moonlight Rose, right? Sometimes I forget because I'm talking about a lot of different fragrances, but this is Moonlight Cherry from the house of Van Cleef & Arpels. By the way, from Van Cleef & Arpels, I cannot wait to get my hands on bottles of Czar and Pour Homme, and the other two women's targeted fragrances. One of them is Van Cleef, and the fourth and final I can't remember. So as soon as they are available here in the States, I will report on them, because I'm not going back to Europe anytime soon, or I'm not doing any traveling anytime soon. All right, the last three fragrances are from the house of Xerjoff. And the first one is called Louis XV 1722 Rose. Sadly, this is the feminine version of the male version that came out last year. I much prefer the male version. This version is a version that has been done over and over again. The male version is super awesome. This is like champagne and rose, like it's a rosé champagne. I drink it, I do. But it's kind of soapy, it's fizzy, lots of rose, but kind of angelic rose, not super jammy. I mean, there's a clientele for fragrances like this, but I think the men's version is far superior than this one. But they accomplished what they set out to do with the fragrance. It's just not a style I really click with. I mean, It smells good, but not my favorite. So there we have Louis XV 1722 Rosé from the house of Xerjoff. Then we have the two Duran Duran fragrances, which I haven't aired my video. I shot a video like months and months and months ago. Let me know if you want my full review unboxing of the two Duran Duran fragrances. I'm not sure why, but I think I ended up traveling. My editor wasn't available to edit. And since it became kind of late, I left them aside. So I will air them if you are interested in the unboxing of these two fragrances. The two Duran Duran fragrances, Black Moonlight and Neo Rio. So let's talk about Black Moonlight first. So Black Moonlight is dark, smoky, resinous, and also a bit leathery. I think the name totally fits it. But there's definitely something charred and smoky. It's amber, but beside that charred smokiness, something is bright there, but like slightly soapy. But the charred smokiness is just a bit overpowering against that soapy cleanness. But Black Moonlight totally captures the name here so perfectly. Let me know if you're a fan of this one. I love the bottle. I think the bottle is super sexy. The color, the label, the writing on the front. Now, Duran Duran happens to be one of my favorite 80s bands. Huge fan of Duran Duran. Let me know if you guys are fans. Girls on Film, Planet Earth. That first album is awesome. The Reflex, maybe? All right, the next fragrance is Neo Rio. So I have the fluorescent green, but this color I associate with Wham more than Duran Duran for some reason. What do you guys think? Okay. So it's interesting. This one, I think both of them are fun, but not super exciting fragrances, sadly. But I think in the video, I preferred the Black Moonlight, but today, this is smelling a little better. Neo Rio. There's this slight dry sweetness here. And there's also a slight booziness as well. A bit of aromatic touch in there. But there's a fun, playful side about it. Obviously, it's more upbeat and happy compared to the Black Moonlight, which is super dark and resinous and smoky. And I don't know how this project came about with Duran Duran. This is like the third British band that Sergio Momo of Xerjoff has collaborated with. First, it was Brian May of Queen. The Apollonia is that collaboration. Then, of course, Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath. They have two fragrances there. And then Duran Duran. What's the next band that Xerjoff is going to collaborate with? This has grown on me. It's different. It's a different smell. It's not smelling like anything else. Like, I mean, both the Duran Duran fragrances smell completely original, not a lot like others, except the Louis XV 1722 Rosé does smell like fragrances I've smelled before. Whereas the Neo Rio and the Black Moonlight, I haven't smelled things like this. Of course, I've smelled styles like this before, but they've done them in a way that they do have a kind of an original smell to them. But I think Even though the previous champagne fragrance, the Fougere for the guys that launched last year, I don't have it here. Out of all 4 of these, I prefer that. That one is so awesome. I smelled it at Neiman Marcus. It was so super luxurious. I bought a used bottle from a person that was getting rid of it. And I need to get a full bottle of it because it's so damn good. Much more than these. But I think between the 3 I'm talking about here, I think I don't like the Louis 15, 17, 22 Rosé because I've smelled things like this. It's also not my style. And I like Black Moonlight and Neo Rio equally, even though I don't think they're like the most amazing fragrances. So that's it. That's 100 fragrances. In fact, there might be more here, but I made sure that with one intro timestamp, because you have to have it for YouTube, and 99 other chapters, which are 99 different fragrances, that's the limit of YouTube, so that you can actually see the chapters. Because a lot of you guys complained once I did a video that had more than 100 fragrances in it, and the chapters weren't showing up normal as normally they would. You can still go through the info box and click on them that way, but the limit for YouTube is 100 chapters, no more. So I have to make sure it's 99, but I add a few there that I don't set separate chapters for. And then, of course, the intro has to be there to start the chapter off. But let me know your thoughts on these fragrances, all 2025 releases. Anything that I did not mention, let me know. Add a comment below. But remember, I also said that I didn't include any men's designer fragrances here. That has a separate video. That one's more of a rank list. Go catch that. This is more luxurious. Yeah, niche, luxury designer fragrances are all featured here. And the smaller, more indie, artisanal, niche houses in a separate video very soon. That will also be a video of 100 fragrances. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Is there something missing? Remember, I don't buy everything, or I don't get my hands across everything. So there's always fragrances that I don't have. But what's missing? What should I get my nose on that was launched in 2025? Add a comment below. Catch the men's fragrances video. I have it linked in the info box if there is room. And then, of course, stay tuned for the second part of this video with the more indie, artisanal, niche brands. Thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. Hopefully you have a happy new year. Stay tuned for another video tomorrow. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. I did already say that, right? But please like the video. Please share it. And, subscribe to the channel by clicking the bell icon as well. See you later. Bye-bye.